And we're live.
Hello. And welcome to the Pinfall podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Marcus.
Allegedly.
So today I didn't put any actual foundation or concealer on, so I look about as tired as I could possibly get.
Me too. I didn't put any on either.
We're gonna be tired together. But see, your camera, your webcam, doesn't wash you out entirely. I basically look like I am in black and white right now.
I think you need to mess with the settings of yours.
I don't know how to do that. Is that something I can do in this thing, or do I have to do it in
You have to do it through your computer. Yeah.
That's hell. Jesus. Everything requires an extra step, and we all know I'm not the type of person to be taking extra steps.
So for those wondering, John Cena did not appear at all today, like I had predicted. So that's one incorrect prediction for me already.
It's interesting. I didn't see you get a drink, so
I didn't get a drink.
How are we gonna punish you for your failures when this is the first time in a while that I've won?
Not
really fair, is it?
Well, we don't know that you won. We don't know that you won yet. For the sake of everybody watching, we don't know that you won.
You think everybody watching remembers what I predicted? I didn't even remember what I predicted.
If you want to keep everyone busy right now, I can go grab something. If you want to start us off, just introduce us.
Alright, now that Mark's gone, we can all talk about how much we don't like Mark. Kidding. So, I don't know how Mark normally does this stuff. I spilled an entire thing of gin on my chair. I added a little bit of extra nice white eyeshadow here just to make me look a little less tired, but then I got in front of the webcam and I was like, oh boy, I look like a zombie today. Anyways, Mark's back, thank God. I'm not good at that.
I am back. So, did you introduce the podcast and everything?
I thought I had when we started, right?
You introduced us, not the podcast.
Oh, did I not say the name of the podcast?
I don't think so.
Just in case I haven't. Welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. I'm your host, Liz. Tonight we're talking about Payback. I'm not reintroducing you.
I actually am wearing jorts. Thank you, Milam.
I did have something I wanted to say prior to starting this, and I don't know what it was. But yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, okay? I was really happy with how the first half of this show went.
I was kind of happy.
We have once again. Go on.
I was gonna say I was kind of happy with all of it. The end was a little rough. But I mean, I liked everything else.
I think I'm just annoyed that this is the 1,009th pay-per-view that we've gotten where the main event, we got suckered into a really good show, and then the main event was this is just the main event because you destroyed the ring, isn't it?
And you know what the common theme has been between all of them? Bray and Braun.
Oh, yeah, Bray and Braun, sure. Yeah, I don't know. We can jump right into it. Alright, I just got a...
Yep.
I'm sorry, I got an email from Finn Balor's clothing brand. I get those every once in a while. And apparently they noticed that I haven't opened any of their emails. So I get an email titled, "Is it us?" And I was like, I just don't have money. Oh.
exciting.
Anyways. I love my co-host so much.
And before we get into the...
Oh, you want to stop us now? You want to hold us off now?
Well, I was going to say about the predictions for the kickoff match, because we didn't go over that last time.
Radio.
Because it was just announced today. We made our predictions like right before the match started. Should we say what we predicted now, or do you want to segue a little bit more?
Let me segue. Also, let me retape my and sign, which I just ripped.
We love last minute
Just
adjustments.
a little annoying.
I wasn't making fun of you.
No. Since I did such a good job tonight, I was like, oh, I'm not really going to have to drink that much of my cocktail. It's looking like I might be doing that. Why is this so hard for me today? I think this thing is coming unscrewed a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What in God's name? Oh no. Oh no.
Do you want me to ramble? Do you want me to start on the matchup?
Yeah, try to ramble.
Alright, so I'm just gonna start right off with my prediction for this. I predicted that the Iconics would win, because, you know, I anticipated this story would go on a little longer, especially since the match announcement on Twitter said that this match would start a new chapter within this story, and I thought, well, this story would kind of end if Liv and Ruby won. I think a new chapter could only start if the Iconics won, but I was wrong, and therefore, sorry, I'm a little hungover because we had a little fun night last night. It was a birthday celebration.
I'm like losing my mind right now. Okay. Oh
Fine.
my god!
It's fine. It looks fine.
It's not though. It didn't. That's the thing. There we go. Anyways. So glad that we're not doing the news tonight, because then we would have to do this a second time.
We still do need to do it a second time.
I knew you were gonna say that. I know how this show goes. Anyways. So Mark's like, yeah, I don't think that the Riot Squad's gonna win, because what could possibly be the next chapter? But Mark failed to consider the fact that the next chapter, because they just made up, and there was like some tension, they hadn't fully made up and like fallen in love with each other again, like I was hoping for. The next chapter was them becoming best pals for real. Also, that would have moved them way too quickly through a story, and we know the writers don't move quickly through stories.
Yeah.
That's how a book should be written. Anyways, so yes, Iconics versus Riot Squad. Mark had the Iconics, I had Riot Squad. I was right.
Yes, you were. I already drank.
Oh, sorry, I was busy with the sign.
Yep.
So it was a weird one. It was a little weird. Writing was a little funky. Ruby tags herself in on Liv right off like the bat, pretty much. Liv tries to get back in, and Ruby holds out her hand like she's like thinking about tagging her in, and then just doesn't. I was like, that's kind of a shitty move. Like, you're just becoming friends again. But a lot of their like a lot of the shitty things that have happened so far in their friendship, like, were accidents. Like, somebody sent Ruby into Liv, or somebody sent Liv into Ruby, and like it sabotaged the whole match. But like, this was very blatantly like Ruby being like, nah, fuck you. Oh, okay. So Ruby takes Billy off the apron, and Peyton punches Ruby in the back. Billy then knees Ruby outside of the ring. She gets her back in and holds her against the ropes. This was a quintessential Iconics match, I think, because we got such good trash talking. They're so good at that. It always makes me laugh. Billy is so over the top every single time. She's like just screaming in Ruby's ear, like, she doesn't love you. And I was like, Billy, okay. Take it down like one notch. So Peyton punches Ruby in the back. She gets Billy in, and they do like a team boot to the throat of Ruby in the corner. It looked real cute. I'm just gonna say that right now. She looked real cute. Mark agreed with me in the moment, so there's no reason for him to not agree with me right now. Wow, stone cold.
I'm just reading the chat.
Then I wish I could read the chat.
You have every ability.
I need to put my glasses on. So we get an arm sub. Ruby uses Ruby. See, I can't. My text is at 18-point font right now, and I still can barely read it. In arm sub, Ruby tries to fight out of it, but Billy, just kind of like arguing with her, with Liv. She's just doing Billy things. Billy then throws Ruby into the ropes and elbows her in the face. Ruby finally goes to tag Liv in, but Billy pulls Liv off the ropes. At that point, she was out. Peyton was in. Then Ruby accidentally hits Liv in the face, which wasn't a good look, especially after the beginning of the fight. It would take a lot for me to forgive that. Did not take that much for Liv to forgive. There's a face buster from Billy and Peyton to Ruby. Billy is then, this is when she was screaming, she doesn't love you, pointing at Ruby, talking to Liv. She makes Liv cry, and then Ruby finally has enough of it. She enziguris Billy, finally gets Liv in, and Liv is mad. Some of us could say that she was livid.
So this is a perfect time for me to read what Splucha just said, that the podcast needs a new top babyface, and to push Kat.
I would push Kat, but Kat is currently Dexter Loomising under the bed, so she comes back out.
I'll push Kat, but not
honestly,
not in that way.
Of the three of us, Kat is the biggest heel.
Yeah,
she's like a sleeper heel. You don't notice it until you notice it.
Yeah.
I had to get a whole new mattress because that little thing peed on it several times. Real heel move. Anyways. Just like sitting under there like. We then get. Okay, so she knees Peyton in the section. I was going to say face, and then I realized it wasn't the face. Then she enziguris her. She then goes up to the second rope to do something. I'm not sure what she was trying to do, but it's very obvious that this was not on purpose. She just slips right off, face first, knees into the canvas.
I think she was trying to frog splash or something.
Something like that. Maybe a crossbody. That seems like a Liv thing to do. She just slips right off, which stressed me out a little bit. She recovers, gets Peyton in the corner, then double stomps Peyton in the back, like lands right on her shoulder. Didn't feel good. There was tape in my hair that whole time. Ruby gets back in. Both Iconics are also in. They do a team facebuster to Ruby. Billy covers and Liv saves her. Liv is back in against Peyton. They go for the Deja Vu, which was the team facebuster. It's a Deja Vu. I didn't write that down. Why would I have? They go for the Deja Vu again on Liv, but Liv kicks Billy. Billy rolls Liv up. Ruby gets in, sends double knees to Billy, and a riot kick. and they have won, and now they're best friends, and they're holding each other's faces. And I was like, dear God, please kiss. And then they didn't. But after this match, they immediately go over to the announce desk for a promo where still looking like they are madly in love with each other, which that's not even my like wishful thinking at this point. It looks like it, and I'm fine with it. Sure me. And Ruby says that this is the beginning of the Riot Squad being back, which isn't entirely true because Sarah Logan is pregnant, so it's not going to be full. It's not going to be a full Riot Squad. But
I feel like this was the perfect match to have as the kickoff. Because it's not super impressive, but it's better than what we've been seeing from the storyline, which is I feel like is the antithesis of kickoff match, rather than just sticking Apollo Crews title matches in the kickoff, which I always feel super bad for. Because Apollo deserves better.
I think this did exactly what I didn't expect, first of all, because I'm kind of getting tired of the storyline. It 100% feels like this is what they're doing just because they have the Liv and Ruby storyline, but they don't have anyone for them to use it on, and the Iconics have nothing else going on, and they're the best bullies, so it kind of makes sense, but I think this was perfect because I expected so little. We actually got quite a lot. The fighting wasn't stellar.
Yeah.
But I was pretty happy with this. I was engaged.
I think everyone kind of did better than they normally do. I just wish, I love seeing Peyton's finisher, but I understand we wouldn't get it if they didn't win.
There was a lot of missing finishers from tonight.
End of days! End of days!
Why couldn't we have gotten that? Oh my god, speaking of shady matches, we'll talk about that. I've got things to say about that.
Mylon wants to know if he should go out of his way to check this one out since he missed it. I don't think so. If you want to see just kind of what I assume to be the crux of the storyline, watch it so you can see Liv and Ruby win and kind of hopefully move on.
Oh, you mean just this match?
Yeah.
Because if he means just this match, then Again, this is another one where it's like, just go on YouTube and look up like the highlights. It's not worth watching a full thing in any respect, I don't think. It's nothing that you haven't seen before.
The best part of it was seeing Liv and Ruby coming out in matching gear.
The best part was like the beginning and the end.
Before and after the match.
I think. Yeah. The match was really nothing that we have not seen 14 times from the Riot Squad versus Iconics whole thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, also, if you are as attracted to Pain as we are, watch the whole thing.
The Iconics gear did look great today. Less so like...
It did, but Peyton's didn't fit her.
Yeah, but it less so looked like they're coming out in Victoria's Secret underwear. Rather, like, Billy was wearing, like, a really cool top with, like, the shoulder
She's
things.
worn that before.
Has she?
She's worn that before in different colors. Yeah. And I always like that, but she did... The thing that's, like, kind of interesting about the Iconics, not to stray too far from the actual athletics of what we're talking about tonight, the thing that's cool about the Iconics in a weird way is that they kind of see like a lot of wrestlers in the same way that you would see like the outfit of like a superhero, where it's like they wear pretty much the same thing. Except the Iconics kind of take it one step further where they wear the exact same thing but in different colors. I think Billy was wearing the exact same thing she normally does in white, and so was Peyton, but they looked really good tonight.
No, because I looked at like the trim of Billy's and it wasn't like that weird lacy trim that looks like underwear.
I love that this is a wrestling podcast. And it's like, no, I looked at the trim of the pants that she was wearing.
It's a part of wrestling.
But but yeah, Peyton's pants, because she was wearing her one piece with like the crisscross things.
It was a little loose.
The pants did not fit her at all. Which glad we didn't have to worry about, but at the same time, a little worried about. Just based on like the same way I was worried that it looked like Sheamus's shorts almost got pulled down at one point today. So that brings us into the Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews match. Mark, kindly enough, chose Chip Skylark. I chose Bobby.
Yep.
Sadly, Chip Skylark's shiny teeth did not make an appearance tonight.
Yeah, I assumed that because this match was kind of like, it seemed very last second, like there wasn't really any lead up to it besides the arm wrestling match, which was a weird addition, that Apollo would just come out and win it. But no.
So it was not until they showed the arm wrestling match a second time tonight that I was like, I think I just chose Bobby because I was like, I feel like Apollo's got to lose this soon. But during the arm wrestling match, which Apollo so loudly celebrated afterwards, he stomped Bobby Lashley's foot under the table. And the moment I saw that, I was like, God damn it, I hope I chose Bobby. As that was a bit of a it was a low blow. But Bobby gets Apollo in the corner. He does a face buster to Apollo twice. He gets Bobby gets a waist lock on Apollo and sets up for another face buster, but it is not successful. In response, he then forearms Apollo. Apollo does his beautiful little drop kick to Bobby. Bobby then knees Apollo as bounces off of the rope right into his midsection. It looked not fun. Not fun at all. Apollo recovers quickly. He gets back in. He does his cute little handspring, which I think he's been working on because we've seen it twice in the last 2 viewings of Apollo at a pay-per-view. I think he finally like perfected it or something because like now we've seen it so much more than we have ever before. But he handsprings, drop kicks Bobby. Bobby is sent straight out of the ring. On the apron, Apollo then kicks Bobby in the face and then moonsaults Bobby off apron onto the floor directly. Bobby then attacks Apollo as Apollo is being intimidated by the Hurt Business, which have been sitting sidelined the whole time, wearing their lovely little suit jackets. And I also just want to say that when Bobby came out not wearing a shirt for the first time in 2 sightings of Bobby, I knew he was going to win. He has the mobility now. He's not caged in by the fabric. Then we have Bobby throws Apollo's waist into the top rope, then drives Apollo into the post, like lifts him up and slams him there. It's a headlock on Apollo, and then crossbody belly to belly suplexes him. Apollo's looking kind of shitty, but he manages to enziguri Bobby, sort of. It wasn't the most obvious of moves. I didn't really know what it was. Bobby then manages to get his Dominator out onto Apollo. Apollo dodges Bobby and is then sends him out of the ring because like Bobby's doing the thing that Bobby does where he's just like sort of like viperish, but not quite.
He does it very rarely. Like I feel like
Just
you know he's gonna win when he does that.
That's how you know he's vibing with it. He's like.
Also, there are 2 tweets by Renee that I wanna look at after this match. After we're done talking about this match, 2 completely unrelated tweets.
Just having a good time tonight. Speaking of tweets, hey, then I will buy your clothes next time I have a paycheck. My God. So then Apollo dodges Bobby and sends him out of the ring. Kicks Bobby in the noggin. Crossbodies Bobby off the ropes. Some forearms, and suddenly I was like, man, this prediction's not looking great for Elizabeth.
Little did we know.
I had a vibe. Apollo then is spearing Bobby in the corner and then starts punching him. He goes for the run into that fast. Goes for the toss power bomb. That's 3 words, one after the other. I can't do that. But Bobby gets out of it. He, however, cannot save himself from the spine buster. You get a moonsault, and again, I'm starting to feel like a little nervous. I smell a cocktail in my future, and I don't like it. Bobby does the full Nelson to Apollo, and this is what we said. We said constantly, we were like, the moment Apollo can get out of the full Nelson, we know he's going to win. Like, that has to be, like, the turning point. Full Nelson to Apollo. He breaks out. German suplex back to Bobby. Watching a man as big as Bobby Lashley getting German suplex over someone's head. Terrifying. Horrifying. He does a frog splash off the top ropes. It is amazing that Bobby Lashley is still moving. He is a scary, scary man. He is way too strong for the average bear. Apollo then has Bobby in the corner, and he's punching him. And then Bobby says, yeet, and power bombs Apollo into Louisiana, I think. It was a big one. It was like also full grip all the way down, just slamming him. And then he full Nelson's Apollo, gets his legs wrapped around poor little Apollo's body, and Apollo taps out and loses his title. Kind of sad. I didn't want to be right. I've come around to Bobby a little bit. This wasn't how I wanted it to go.
I do think Bobby looked great today. I really liked his performance in the ring much better than normal, but I wish this match had a little more lead up than just an arm wrestling match where Apollo played a little dirty.
I think the lead up that you were looking for was what they had with the Hurt Business this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
It's just they put so much like focus on MVP going for the title, like weeks upon weeks of him going for it, and then in the span of 1 week, Bobby says he's going to, and then gets it. So I don't know. It felt like there. I don't know. It seemed like there wasn't enough emphasis on his trials for it. It very much feels like he went for the WWE title from Drew, saw MVP screw up getting the US title, and then said, fine, I'll do it myself, and then just went for it. Do you have something else to say?
I think what it is more so, what I was going to say is just that I think what it is more so now is it's just desperation on his part to have something.
Mm-hmm.
Have something to prove how good he is. And I mean, we know how good he is, but I think to have that hardware on his shoulder was a big thing for him.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with the storytelling is that it wasn't obvious where we were coming from for this match, but I think that we had to look at like everything Bobby has done, everything the Hurt Business has done up to this point to get that story.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
But I'm kind of glad that Apollo doesn't have the title anymore, because it very much just seemed like his whole character was being the US champion. It didn't seem like he had anything else to him, which I guess is the curse of being a face. But they've been getting a lot better at fixing that. I feel like Apollo was kind of the worst victim of that, and especially since he attacked Bobby after the match, that maybe we're starting to see that turn around a little bit.
Yeah.
But if we're finished with this match, I do want to look at these tweets real quick from Renee. One of them applies to today. Another one applies to the entirety of WWE. So the first thing Renee tweeted was, can we please stop the abuse to the interviewers? It's the knee-jerk heel thing to do. Why even have them there then? Always bothered me. She's got a huge, really good point.
And this is what we always liked about Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? There's someone else.
Oh, shoot. Seth.
Yeah, Seth. They're always so nice.
Respectful.
Yeah, like somebody will ask Corbin something. He's just like, well, it's Charlie, right? Charlie's in SmackDown.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, Charlie, let me tell you. Let me tell you something. I respect like seeing someone who's like an asshole to someone be nice to someone else, because it's like it doesn't just feel like they're a mean guy.
It seems
it's like no, he just hates you.
Yeah, it seems like their hate is kind of directed and motivated rather than someone like Nia Jax who always snaps at the interviewers, or Bayley and Sasha, or Zelina. But the other tweet from Renee, which something I thought about earlier, I think both of us thought about earlier, but haven't really mentioned at all since it ended. Where's Retribution?
All right. Let me just... This is a... Mark said that he's a little hungover after last night. Liz didn't move from bed until about 5 p.m. today. I'm back. Yeah, so I mentioned this today. I can't even... I'm sorry if you can hear me chewing those. I mute myself once I say what I gotta say. You can't?
No.
Okay. I thought we would see them today because there were so many rumors about Roman Retribution. And with Dijakovic's tweet, which I foolishly thought would be something, I thought we were going to see literally anything.
Yeah.
But we didn't even get Retribution at SmackDown.
Yeah. Because everyone was thinking Roman was leading Retribution, but then they revealed that he's working with Paul Heyman, and once that was revealed, I was like, I can't see him being part of Retribution anymore. That's one thing. You don't get two things in WWE. So like Milam considered that maybe they just dropped Retribution, but also considering how invested they were in Retribution, that would be huge. That's like them dropping Raw Underground.
Let me say something right now. I've complained so many times about Retribution. I complained so much about it. If they fucking put me through everything they put me through with Retribution, and then they just drop it? Nope. I'm gonna need a lot more of this if that's what happens, because I'm gonna be stressed. I'm gonna be mad. I mean, to have everybody, the most invested anybody has been in SmackDown, I think. Besides, like, the nut jobs that enjoy it. I don't view it as, like, a personal torture to have to watch it. This is the most interested I think people have been in SmackDown since the pandemic started. I think it's probably safe to say that.
Now that Roman's back.
You've got all these, like, internet sleuths. You've got all these internet sleuths trying to figure out, like, what is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, like,
if they were to just drop it, it sounds like a WWE thing to do for sure.
Yeah, like one of the biggest like things that's one of like the greatest things for the internet is, although something may be complained about a lot, if you have a mystery and you see people on the internet trying to figure out who, or trying to speculate, like, who's the hacker, who's Retribution, you have a great thing on your hands, because when you reveal it, it's going to be massive.
The fact that you just reminded me of the hacker also in relation to this makes me more mad, because now I'm sure that they could drop it at any given point.
Oh yeah. But the fact that they destroyed the ring for Retribution, they basically started the Big E Sheamus feud over Retribution. Yeah, I don't know.
I also just I want to just say, like, on that same note, they gave us so much. Alexa Bliss's sister Abigail, and now she's just some dreadlocked fiend fangirl It's
Mm-hmm.
I had so many hopes for Alexa Bliss looking so goddamn cool as Sister Abigail, and now she's just got two dreads and her little pigtails, and she's like watching the Fiend like doing stuff, and she's like,
DG Games brought up a really good hypothesis that
huh?
what if Paul Heyman was behind it to spite Bruce Pritchard taking his job?
So this brings up another point, right? Because you said we were talking about this, and you said, "Well, I don't know if Roman's going to be leader of Retribution now that Paul's back."
Mm-hmm.
I think you said that 5 seconds ago. However, I was thinking about it, and I was like, Paul Heyman's whole thing for an extended period of time was like, "Fuck this whole business. My client is the top dog. I don't know why we're still doing this. He's obviously the best." Sorry.
Don't know why you apologize to the sign.
The sign gave me so many problems. I'm scared that if I make it mad, it's just gonna fall. I have worked so hard on this. It wouldn't be shocking because also the fact that like the idea of like these nut jobs or Antifa parallels. Agnew the fucking spoon. So good. I cannot. Sometimes Vince McMahon has too much of a touch, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I'm getting in the ring now. I'm fighting Corey Graves. I think the thing is that like because like the idea of like the crazy violent Retribution folks so like what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like because they're so like anti-establishment that to go with Paul being their leader almost feels like wrong because he's so like a white collar, prim proper, like I'm the best guy in town. He's like the Jeff Bezos of SmackDown, if you will. At this point. If not for Vince. But I think because that feels so wrong in terms of like just contrast, I think it's the perfect choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes the most sense for him to just be like, yeah, I'm going to send these folks out into the middle of the ring to terrorize everyone, and then they'll see. What will they see? I'm not really sure, but right.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Paul Heyman was the hacker all along.
God. But anyway, do you want to move on to the next?
Do we have other matches to talk about?
Yeah, a little bit. We have a couple promos before the next match.
Do we?
Yeah. Do you not take note of it? That's okay. I did. So first after that Bobby versus Apollo match, we had an interview with or an attempted interview with Paul Heyman, where Kayla tries to ask Paul Heyman if Roman signed the contract, and he's basically just dodging the question, you know, being a pissy manager. And then after that, we had a promo with Keith Lee where he's approached in the locker room by JBL, who offers him...
Last place I want to meet JBL.
Where he offers him a hedge fund for $1 million. And Keith is just like, sorry, man, I don't have those resources. And then JBL's like, well, you win tonight. You could, in short. That was... I don't know what they're hinting at.
I always feel kind of... I don't think they're hinting at anything. I think that this is just JBL continuing his old gimmick from his wrestling days.
Mm-hmm.
From his WWE days. But that said... It 100% felt like JBL was like, can I please have a promo? Can I please have a promo? Can I please have a promo? And finally, they're just like, fine, do this. We don't have anything for Keith tonight. Just go do that. I don't know. And he's like, yes.
Just do your thing. We'll have the cameras follow you, and you just happen to be in the locker room doing God knows what.
Also, the fact that like they had to like be like, it was very sly of them. JBL is like, oh hey Keith. Keith's like, oh JBL, and like starts talking about like limos and all that shit. Like, you have to remind us what JBL was. That alone should be enough of a reason for us to not have to do a JBL promo if you have to remind us about his whole shtick. I yelled so much last night because of like sports, because of everything we were doing last night. My throat hurts so much, and now I'm still yelling.
So after this, we had Big E versus Sheamus. If you want to lead us into that,
I will lead us into that. I also watched 2 baseball games today, and I couldn't even yell at those. My God, were there reasons to fucking yell?
And it was the Mets versus Yankees.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Can we move on?
I had a 7-2 lead and they blew it.
Can we move on?
Oh yeah, speaking of losers, Mark, take a drink.
Milam, there's always next week.
Yeah, Mark definitely did not give it to Big E this week. However, I did. I did take a drink just now. That I predicted that he would win.
I predicted Sheamus would win.
This was just a pleasure drink.
Because I
know you did, buddy.
My motivation for picking Sheamus was that because Big E's kind of on the rise up, and I feel like Sheamus would be the perfect person to sort of stop him on the ladder, beat him down at a pay-per-view, and say, "Slow down, cowpoke," and then have like a little feud for a bit before climbing all the way up to a title match. But it seems like they're just having him sprint up the ladder, probably to Jeff Hardy or Roman. That's his name. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with Sheamus now too.
My mentality for choosing Big E was that like his whole thing is that he's proving that he can also do singles stuff with his New Day gimmick and not lose. And I felt like it'd be a real slap in the face if he did. So yeah. It was looking a little hairy though for a minute. So Sheamus was pushing Big E back against the ropes. There's a waist lock on Sheamus. He powered out with his elbows. He then turns around and goes for the waist lock on E, who tosses him off. Sheamus kicks E in the stomach and then does a headlock takedown. Big E manages to power out, and Sheamus goes after him. Big E dodges him every single time. Whether it was ducking under clotheslines or leapfrogging him, he managed to just avoid it. He finally takes Sheamus down with some forearms, and in the process, ends up in a position where Sheamus has got him against the ropes and is clubbing his poor little chest. Yes, what?
Can I just say that the Thunderdome has killed one thing, and that's the New Day chant, the New Day Rocks chant. It is so Big E starts it, and they don't start filling in the sound effect till he's already like pretty much done, and you don't see anyone among the virtual crowd doing it along with him. They're all either poorly timed or just not doing it at all. Whereas, at least in the Performance Center, you had all the trainees doing it, and it was more hyped than what's going on now.
Sir?
So, yeah. You can continue.
The cat is back. She is under the desk, so I cannot show anyone the cat. Oh, do not bite me, please. That would be a real heel move of you.
She's been a heel this whole time.
Oh, she has. Nobody understands. So Sheamus's legs are taken out from under him. Big E begins clubbing him and moves him to a laying position on the apron to frog splash him. Sheamus then moves out of the way in time, sending Big E face first into the apron. It's happened a couple times now, and every single time I'm just like, oh, not good. Not good. Bad looks. No, I don't really know. I don't know what to call this. I called it a knee breaker. It was basically a back breaker with a. It was his knee against Sheamus's thigh, which feels like it hurt Sheamus more. Shin bone is pretty sharp. Beats. So does that. Sheamus then throws Big E into the canvas. Does a little knee sub. Big E is trying to club him to break the hold. Sheamus. It is broken, but Sheamus gets himself back between the legs of Big E. That didn't sound good at all. Big E then kicks Sheamus in the spine to break the hold, right between the shoulder blades. Sheamus says, okay, I'm going to try something else, and does a backbreaker to Big E, then manages to get himself into a half crab. What's in your tail? What is in your tail? God. Big E kicks himself free, and Sheamus kicks Big E in the whole goddamn head. And does a drop elbow, goes off the top rope. He is caught, and Big E goes for triple suplexes. Sheamus headbutts him on the third. And then Big E does a Uranagi to Sheamus, which was just so damn powerful. Big E goes off the ropes to Sheamus, and Sheamus sends a knee into Big E's head. Sheamus does the Alabama Slam to Big E and covers, but E still manages to kick out somehow. Then they exchange some punches. It's the knee sub on Big E again. Big E this time is close enough to the ropes to grab them. He then sends Sheamus out of the ring over the top rope. Sheamus tries to get back in, and Big E spears him through the middle ropes. Big E then goes for the big ending, but Sheamus stops him. Has a heel hook on E after Sheamus powers out, and he punches him several times. Sheamus then sends some hard knees into Big E's head, goes for the bro kick, and Big E catches him and power bombs him into the ether. Finally manages his big ending, and we all win except for Mark. And then to put the cherry on top of my winning, Big E spends the next 3 minutes screaming in Corey Graves' face. He says, "Let's go, Graves." And I said, give me that fight. I'll take that fight any day of the week. So I was happy. I mean, every single thing I wanted to have happen came true. I got Big E winning. It looked better than I did at SummerSlam. And I got harassment of Corey Graves.
Turns out the ladder he's been climbing wasn't for a title, it was just to fight Corey Graves.
It's me. This podcast, all it is just one campaign for me to fight Corey Graves. I beg.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what kind of match it is. I'll even do a ladder match. I'm scared of ladders. I'll do a ladder match. It just means I might get to left hook Corey.
Is this you officially announcing you're challenging Corey Graves?
I am officially announcing that I am challenging Corey Graves.
Someone clip this, put it on Twitter at Corey Graves. Let him know he is he's being watched.
Maybe don't say that. That feels bad. Don't worry, Corey. I'm not going to Florida for anything. You gotta come to New York for that.
Madison Square Garden.
Once we're allowed to have crowds, Corey, I'm there, buddy. I feel like they're gonna be like, if that were to ever happen, they'd be like, no, you actually have to fight Carmella instead. I'm gonna be like, not worth it.
You have to fight Michael Cole before you can fight Corey Graves.
I don't even like Michael Cole that much, but like that would hurt me on the inside. But I would, Michael.
But anyway,
aren't safe from my wrath. Go through any man. Anyways, so then we have a Matt Riddle promo, and this is where things got like a little cool. It was a little cool. There was a lot of shade coming down from the trees today. So Matt Riddle's just vibing. He's smiling. He's having a good day. The interviewer, whose name I do not remember,
It
because
was
she's
it was Elise. Elise.
Elise. There was a joke I could make there somewhere, but I'm not going to. Who can sign a lease in this economy? Wasn't good. That was a desperation joke. So, okay, Matt Riddle's having a good time. And then Elise tells Matt, yeah, so Corbin said that you're a failure in the ring and you're a failure at home. And that wipes the grin right off of Matt Riddle's face. And I said, I've forgotten anything that's happened within the last 3 days. I was like, what could that possibly mean? And then I remembered that Q Mark.
Supposedly.
Yeah, sure. May have sexually assaulted somebody. And that's not what they were talking about. What they were talking about was the addition to that story where his wife was like, well, yeah, Matt did cheat on me at one point. And I said,
what if Elise just made that line up herself and then Corbin just had to roll with it?
Elise was like, fuck you, Matt Riddle. There were not 14 things in front of my laptop right now. I would definitely show off the cat. I'm not going to. Don't give airspace to the heels in this house. Just like pukes.
I do love that Corbin kind of gets real with all of his beef with everybody. He always like stays on topic and on top of current events and everything. Never being like just a caricature of a heel.
Right. And we all know that Thomas Pestock, King Corbin, loves being a heel. It is like his life's work, apparently. He has said that multiple times, that he loves it. He has no problem with being the worst person in the room, and I respect the hell out of that. Goodbye. But, yeah, so I think that might have been a reference to that. But you see, the thing is, he was making fun of Jeff Hardy. At least Jeff Hardy's return from his struggles was a redeemable quality.
Yeah.
There isn't really a redeemable quality for cheating on your wife and possibly assaulting a woman in the back of a van.
We need
There's really nothing coming back from there.
We need Corbin to have a beef with Velveteen Dream.
I would straight up support Velveteen Dream coming up to the main roster for that alone. Or just do like a cross-brand match.
Yeah.
That's also fine. I'll take it. Because I know Corbin 100% could say exactly what I've been feeling, except to a national audience. Anyways. So that wipes Matt Riddle's stupid grin off of his stupid face, and he just walks away. Vibes. Dana and I are then backstage together, and they are just talking about how much they hate each other. Right. To admit it, kind of like Nia Jax today. But that's not a now comment. That's a future comment. Yeah. Anyways, Matt.
Yep.
I'll take a drink for that one.
DG Game said, Corbin says, so Dream, about those voice recordings. Perfect.
I can straight up just see him like being like, you know, coming out like in the middle of like a fight or something and like just talking into the microphone being like, you know, you don't have to answer this challenge right now. You can just leave me a voice recording. And walking off, and I'd be like, I'd have an aneurysm. Instantaneously, I'd be blackout drunk right there. Nothing else would matter. I wouldn't have anything else to say during the podcast. I'd be like, what's wrestling?
But do you want to move on to the next fight?
I was about to, and then I screwed everything up, Mark.
That's okay.
Funny enough, the next things I'm going to say in my notes, I don't think I once refer to Matt Riddle as Matt. So I don't
Riddle.
even know why I did that. King Corbin versus Matt Riddle. Marcus, which was what I was intending to say there. Take a drink. Don't you?
So, I picked Corbin because A, Corbin needs a win. As Milam just said in the chat, Corbin is so underrated in the ring, and he is absolutely right. Corbin, he's so much fun to watch. He's an amazing wrestler. His finisher is so hype. His end of days is amazing. It's not even like super like technically impressive, but it's just so fun to watch, and get so much hype behind it. And the fact that he's done horribly this year in terms of win-loss is unbelievable. He definitely needs a bigger push. He needs to win some matches. I know he's like the big heel of SmackDown, kind of. Milam asks what the stat is for his win-loss. Let me tell you what his win-loss is. So he is the lowest ranked SmackDown wrestler. He has wrestled in 20 matches this year. He has won 3 and lost 16 and has had 1 no contest. And that ain't right, considering how great of a wrestler he is and how great of a personality he is in general. So,
sorry, I definitely think I just saw a spider. So if I did, I'm probably gonna run screaming. I felt like I saw it behind the laptop, and I'm like, anyways. Yeah, no, I don't doubt the fact that, like, okay, so start over. I chose Matt Riddle. I did not want to choose Matt Riddle. There's no point in my life where I was ever like, yeah, let's give Matt Riddle the win, because I liked Matt Riddle for 5 seconds because I loved his feud with Timothy Thatcher. I loved the evolution of that on NXT. And then 5 seconds before he came to SmackDown, everything fell apart. Said,
real life aside, the character Matt Riddle was a monster on NXT. Him and Pete Dunne were unstoppable. He according to stats, he is like the biggest NXT wrestler, and without even having a title, he's in the top 10. He and Pete Dunne were amazing, and then him and Timothy Thatcher were also amazing. I just wish we would get Pete Dunne back. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he was released or something, or released because of COVID. But would love to see something with him again, especially in tag teams. Travel stuff, Splucha said. Oh, because he's from the UK.
Sounds Bobby Roode.
Well, Bobby Roode's UK, isn't he? Or not UK, Canada.
Yeah, which is the worst part, is that, like, you literally can get here by way of car. He's not allowed to because the border said no.
Yeah.
COVID. But yeah, I liked Matt Riddle a lot when I watched him in NXT. When he was called up to the main roster, even though I was kind of disappointed that he was leaving the feud with Timothy Thatcher, I was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. And then Speaking Out happened. I was like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I wanted to be happy. So it sucked so much too, because I think we did the podcast. I think we had the podcast going. Right as this all started.
Yeah.
He was coming to SmackDown. I was like,
it was just like right at the start of the Speaking Out movement is when we started the podcast.
Right. So I just remember being so excited one podcast, and then the next one, when we had to do SmackDown, like the first one he was on, I had to spend the whole time saying, like, so this is what might have happened. It's not great. It really ruins him in my eyes, because I am partial to believing the person accusing. Because usually when you accuse someone of doing something like that, it's not really fun. It's not like a clout thing. It's like kind of shitty, sucks. So I can't imagine someone doing it in their right mind without it being somehow true. It could also be crazy. There are crazy people out there. And that being said, though, I don't want to get into all of that right now, but I was so hyped up. And then I had to spend his entire first episode being like, yeah, so, and then allegedly was born. And,
sorry, I agree with you so much, and I'll let you wrap up your thoughts, but we should move on to the rest of the match. I don't think we got through the whole thing.
I'm about to. Slowed me down now.
Sorry.
Let's start all over again. Anyways. But, like, it just sucked so much, and now it's, like, every single time I have to give him any sort of, like, respect, I'm like... I am glad that Corbin is his, feud partner right now. If there's anyone that I want feuding with this man, it's Corbin. So, let's jump in. Out of the gate, Corbin clotheslines of Matt Riddle. The bell has not rung. Corbin just says... fuck you. He then elbows Riddle and sends him into the corner just to kind of stomp him a little bit. He then throws Riddle out of the ring. He punches him. I thought you were about to like say something into the mic, and I was like, yeah. He punches Riddle into the announce desk and then rolls him up. Riddle kicks out. Corbin says, okay. Starts clubbing him, gets an arm sub on him. And then Corbin slugs him several times. Riddle finally kind of gets his like balls up and starts kicking Corbin in the corner. It's this crazy little... I don't know. There was a name for it. I don't remember it. But he gets this crazy little arm sub on him where he's kind of just koalaing Corbin while holding onto his arm.
It was like almost an arm bar.
It was almost an armbar, but he was like kind of like he had his legs wrapped around his waist and was just like kind of like holding the arm as he like went down. Corbin then plants Riddle directly into the canvas. Riddle then jumps on Corbin's back with a sleeper hold. So Corbin sends him backwards into the mat.
Can I just say, I'll make this quick. I'm so tired of the sleeper hold. I'm so tired of it.
Really?
It's used so often, especially against big opponents, that it's like I'm sleepy.
To be fair, if one thing's going to stop me from fighting, it's probably someone cutting off the air supply to my head.
Right. But I don't know. It's just so... It's used so much, and it feels like... It feels cheap, I guess. Like, remember the triple threat for the North American title between Keith Lee, Johnny, and Finn?
Well, yeah, that's the only way that they could stop him from moving.
Yeah, that was like the only move used by Finn and Johnny, and it was so tiring. And since then, I've just gotten more and more tired of it. And then they used Riddle used it on Corbin, Randy used it on Keith. Somebody else used it today that I can't remember.
Shayna used it, but that's also Shayna's move.
I think, did Sheamus also use it, or Biggie? I don't know. But yeah, I'm tired of it.
I think with some people, like with Dexter Lumis, with Timothy Thatcher, I really like it. Because I believe it. Also with Dexter, because he's a psychopath, so I'm not going to not believe it.
With grapplers, it makes sense. And I guess Matt Riddle, it makes sense. But
he could have fought Corbin with different moves, also.
Yeah.
He's a grappler, but he's also very aerial.
I mean, you have two very lanky people in the ring. I would expect a lot more, like, martial arts than grappling.
And Corbin is also pretty good at grappling himself.
I
mean, I know that he's kind of got... he doesn't have a wrestling background, per se. But he's a strong dude. He's a quick dude. He's not... And Matt Riddle is a submission-based wrestler. He's more of a UFC-style fighter. But in reality, in a weird way, the sleeper hold for Matt Riddle almost doesn't make sense because all of his power is in his legs.
Yeah,
The whole
that's
thing is kicking.
yeah, that's one thing that kind of stood out to me, and I feel like if he was doing a sleeper hold with his legs, I would almost appreciate that more.
Um, we aren't here until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I have to drive again tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you do.
Been like trying to enjoy this weekend as much as possible, and boss told me not to work at all this weekend. And now that it is Sunday night, I'm like,
Where did it go?
what about next weekend when I do end up working because I know myself? Not checking my company email this whole weekend has actually like taken 5 years off my life. So where are we? Easy subhold, Riddle on back. There we go. So Riddle goes for the sleeper again, but he's got the body scissors this time and is just sending punches into Corbin. This was actually kind of cool in spite of the fact that it was a sleeper hold, because he's got a sleeper hold in Corbin's neck. He's using his legs to scissor his body, but like it's more of a waist lock, if anything. And at the same time, while sleeper holding him with one arm, he's clubbing Corbin. So like at least it wasn't just the sleeper hold overpowering Corbin.
Yeah.
Corbin then slings Riddle onto the canvas, does his little fast Corbin move, clotheslines Riddle, then gets Riddle into a chicken wing sub hold. Riddle powers out and goes to like kick Corbin. It's the laziest kick in the world. He just kind of like raises his leg and Corbin runs into it like, oh yeah, ow, whoopsies. Then Corbin then gets a leg sub on Riddle, but Riddle powers out. Once again, we get fast Corbin. And then the funniest goddamn thing I think I've ever seen, at least in like the last month, if not several months, Riddle roundhouses Corbin. Corbin is knocked out flat on the ground and rolls out of the ring and just this.
It's the most perfectly shot moment in all of WWE this year.
Because the camera was pretty much on level with the canvas, so you just see Corbin go over the edge and just down, and just gone.
Oh.
And they showed the replay like 4 times. I mean, I think it was 4 times, or I played it back in my head 4 times. It was. I love King Corbin so much. Also, I do want to note we got the King Corbin like entrance that we have not gotten in a really long time.
Yes.
Where he's carried out, and I've, with Sammy coming back, with Roman coming back, with Paul Heyman coming back, I was like, I feels normal again. If I just if I squint my eyes and I pretend that the camera screens are actually fans, it's like we're not even in a pandemic. Anyways, he then gets a Pele kick onto Corbin, sends his elbows into him. Riddle plants Corbin with the Broton, Corbin, does the Broton. I don't really know. My notes aren't that clear. I can't see them either. And then does a running knee up to Corbin. Corbin, I guess, is kicked in the liver, which Corey Graves, in his infinite wisdom, says that'll shut your body down. I said, well, I don't know if one kick will, but if you kick it hard enough, maybe, Corey. You got a point. Corey has so much medical knowledge, and I trust him with everything he says. I hate him so much. Riddle then leapfrogs Corbin, and Corbin does a deep 6 to Riddle, which is just such a goddamn jazzy move. But it doesn't matter because Riddle gets a triangle armbar on Corbin, who just kind of bicep curls him a little bit. In spite of the fact that Corbin was still looking pretty decent, the floating bro off the top ropes to Corbin, and Matt Riddle wins, and whatever.
Wait, wasn't it the bro to sleep?
No, the bro to sleep is something else. He did that in this. I just did not feel like typing that out. I have too much dignity.
That's just such a funny name for him.
So many times.
The Bro to Sleep is just such a good name.
It definitely is. I love that name to make fun of. However, again, I had to write the floating bro, and that alone was too much for me. I also wrote Broton. Just a centon. It's just a centon, guys. We don't have to call it something fun.
Anyway.
I hate Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle, Corey Graves, and me. Give them a handicap match. I've got a lot of rage. Play like a Yankees victory in the background. Really fueled. 6 White Claws that and over. I'm going on. God. Mark doesn't enjoy my jokes ever. Anyways. These Pete's can't yell at me.
We are an hour and 20 minutes into this podcast.
Anyways, so then we have a Matt Riddle promo, which is just Matt Riddle walking down the hallway, talking shit about Corbin to himself. Normal things for a man to do. Charlie tries to, or was it Charlie or was it Kayla? I don't really know. I don't really care.
I think it was Elise.
Someone tries to interview. Was it Elise?
I think so.
Now I just feel foolish. Oh yeah, it was because she was asking him about. She was interviewing him before. Mm-hmm. So Elise is trying to get an interview, and Corbin says, "Your interview can wait. I took my shirt off, and I'm ready to party." And he just attacks Matt Riddle and breaks the catering table. My jokes are like so much sadder when like I look this goddamn tired. My little raccoon eyes. So then we have Nia and Shayna versus Bayley and Sasha. And for once, Marcus doesn't have to drink. This was a turning point for you, buddy. This was a turning point. You didn't have to do anything. I think you were clean for several parts of the rest of this.
I'm gonna drink for not having to drink.
Honestly, I feel like we ruined the pay-per-views, or at least I do. I'm like, oh, I like lost this one. I've got to drink. And then I pull up my White Claw and I'm like, anyways, guys, what's up? Thank God. We are finally getting character development.
Sasha no longer has any titles.
Sasha has no titles. Bayley has one. Nia and Shayna somehow have one. It's too much. And if I turn on Raw tomorrow night after driving 3 hours, I turn on Raw, Bayley and Sasha are challenging for the belts and they get them back tomorrow night, I'm going to have more to yell about, and hopefully my stomach is a little stronger. Anyways, Shayna and Nia win. So let's start there. And as much as I hate to say it, guys, I think I liked Nia Jax tonight. Not her fighting. We'll get into it. I didn't hate her for the entire time that she was up.
Yeah, she had a good performance today. And
she did something right.
She showed good chemistry with Shayna, too.
Yeah, okay, so there's actually... I want to get into that. Hopefully I did make a note. I probably didn't, knowing my luck. Let's start. Punches into the back of Sasha by Shayna. Sasha drop kicks Shayna. Shayna then has Sasha on the ropes and is pulling her hair. Her legs, her head... She's on the ropes. Her head is between her legs, basically, like looking down, and Shayna has her hair and is just kicking her in the face. Baszler goes for the elbow stomp, but once again, we just don't get it. We don't get anything that we want.
We hated it so much before Money in the Bank, and now we just really want to see it.
No. We didn't get the brogue kick. We didn't get the end of days. We didn't get the elbow stomp, which isn't even a finisher, but...
We didn't get Peyton's finisher, whatever it's called.
To be fair, though, the way this match ended was better than the elbow.
Oh, absolutely.
So Shayna sends Sasha out of the ring. Bayley is now in. There's a hammerlock on Bayley. Sasha's trying to get Nia off the apron, and Shayna sends Bayley into Nia Jax, and Nia Jax is pissed. Then Bailey and Sasha are back in together. They're against Shayna. They go for a double team drop. Bailey doesn't let go in time, so it looks mad awkward. Nia then throws Bailey into the barricade and swings Sasha into the barricade multiple times. Didn't care for that. However, it is what Shayna did to Liv Morgan during Elimination Chamber, where she swung her between the plexiglass. Which I said, maybe that's worse. Nia is then in. She forearms Bailey, tosses her, elbow drops, all the good stuff. Bailey pushes Shayna off the apron, and then Shayna is mad at Nia. Sasha interferes, and Nia gets a running knee from Bailey and double knees from her in the corner, or double knees from Sasha. You know what I'm talking about. We get a drop kick from Sasha to Nia, and then Bailey kicks her. Nia finally gets back up and catches Bailey mid-crossbody and throws her. Sasha then interferes again, and Nia grabs her, knocks her into Bailey, and then does the Samoan drop on Sasha. Which, using the two of them against each other, was poetic.
It really was.
Multiple parts of this match. There's a leg drop to Bailey from Nia. Bailey is holding Nia's ankle, and Nia's just kind of like dragging her along. She gets Shayna in. There's a running knee to Bailey, and then a sliding knee to Sasha from Shayna. His knee's got a real workout tonight. And then face buster to Sasha. Now, I think I did miss the part that I really liked, which was, I'm just going to go into it now because it was about halfway through. So Shayna and Nia have spent this whole time just hating each other. And finally, at one point, I think it was after the face buster, Shayna's in. She's like looking at Nia like, she says, "We can do this." And Nia says, "We can win." And then they go and they work as a team?
A tag team? Allegedly?
So yeah, I was like, oh my god. Friendship? My biggest king? Never wanted to like Nia. It hurts.
But this also sets a really high bar for Nia now.
Oh no, Nia's definitely gonna disappoint me tomorrow. I know that.
Oh yeah.
So Nia then throws Sasha, and Shayna has sometimes I try to read my notes in full, not realizing I was writing them, half paying attention to what I was typing. Nia throws Sasha. Shayna has Bailey. There's a double splash to the two. Basically, Nia throws Sasha into the corner. Shayna then pushes Bailey into the corner. Do a double splash to the two, or Nia does. Then Sasha transitions from a powerbomb. And this was a really cool move. Nia went to go powerbomb her. Sasha transitioned her weight and pulled Nia's head down for a face buster. Then there was an elbow drop off the top rope to Nia from Bailey, and I said, oh my god, if I was wrong about what I wanted to have happen here tonight, I'm going to be mad. I don't want to have to watch this anymore. So there's an elbow drop off the top rope to Nia from Bailey, and then a frog splash to Nia from Sasha off the top rope. Sasha does a sliding knee into Nia's face. And then a double back body drop to Nia. And then Shayna's in. And this is where it gets spicy. Because we get a submission hold on Bailey. We get the good old headlock. Sleeper hold. On Bailey from Shayna. Sasha's also in at this point. Shayna goes for a leg lock on Sasha. While sleeper holding Bailey. She then goes down to the canvas. Leg lock, or leg submission, still on Sasha. Sleeper hold still on Bailey. Uses Sasha's arm against Bailey's throat to deepen the sleeper hold. And Bailey taps out. Sasha Banks has no more belts. It sucks. I do actually like Sasha Banks. I do actually like Bailey. So this kind of hurts me on the inside a little bit, but not enough because I hated this goddamn story. I'm so glad it's over. I cannot believe it took us this fucking long. Use my French. Then Kayla's in the ring interviewing Nia and Shayna, like, hey, like, you guys won, congrats. Nia's so goddamn happy. There's so much emotion coming off of her face that I was like, this is what I've been asking for months. I just wanted something. I wanted a reason to like you. I just didn't want the goddamn... Like, I can't stand that. What am I supposed to do with that? I've got nothing there. And finally, I get to see her. She's jumping around the fucking ring. Thrilled. Like, where's this been? I have emotions. I know you're a person. And that's why I liked her tonight. Okay.
I agree. I loved her too. I also loved Shayna too. I loved Shayna more than Nia, but there was less improvement with Shayna, more so with Nia. And now I'm really excited for this tag team because it seems brutal. It seems like it can potentially be unstoppable, but at the same time, it seems like there can be a lot of discourse. And it doesn't seem like they would play dirty like Sasha and Bayley have been.
So my question for you then is, do you think that this is going to continue to be a tag team?
Oh yeah, because like with a lot of tag teams, they rarely show very good chemistry. For example, in the ring, Ricochet and Cedric. I don't think in the ring they have a lot of chemistry. Outside, they do. In the ring, they're kind of their own separate entities. They kind of do their own thing. They tag in, tag out. You know, not as much as like Big E, Kofi. But right off the bat, Nia and Shayna showed really good chemistry. They built off each other really well. And I think that this could be really good for Raw moving forward. So it would be kind of stupid to not keep this. Plus, Raw needs more women tag teams.
I guess that's fair. I really cannot like the finishing move was Shayna using a submission hold, 2 different submission holds on both of them. That was wild.
And use Sasha
that was, like, out of this
to
world.
choke out Bayley.
It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cemented Shayna as like one of the best women wrestlers in Raw. She's awesome, and I'm so glad we started watching her when she was already in Raw rather than in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of people still like judge her as part of NXT.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get that. It's weird to me. So now we're gonna get more progression in the storyline because we've waited. Because there was progression in the Sasha Bayley storyline for a while, and then it stopped together completely, 100%, no more. And I was like, give more, give more, please, more. And now suddenly we're on a treadmill running towards it, and I'm like, break up. Feels so good. Feels so good. Anyways.
So.
Does anyone smell Clash of Champions for Bayley? Because I certainly do.
Naomi.
People ask them to give Naomi a chance. They're not going to now.
They tried.
They don't do what the viewers want.
They tried, and they had Lacey Evans fight her 5 times.
Because of the karaoke, you know? No, we're having too good of a night to remember karaoke right now. We're having too much fun. Let's not remember karaoke.
Speaking of a good night, do you want to move on to the next fight?
Yeah, this will be a quick one to get through. Keith Lee versus Randy Orton.
Since when was Randy Orton this easy to beat? I feel like Keith Lee had 0 problem here.
I've got an itch in my eyelashes. That's weird. Yeah, this was a very fast one. I think it's just because it was Keith Lee's first pay-per-view. Also, at the same time, like, I don't know. This weird. Weird enough. So goddamn, Elizabeth. I already have to pee, so we might have to take a quick break for that. If you're cool with that before we start this match, because I've got to take a drink.
Okay.
You're gonna stall.
I gotta take a drink too.
Yes. We both chose Randy. We were both magically wrong.
Do you want me to stall?
Can you stall for 5 seconds?
Sure. Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you have a list? Do you have a list you can give?
No, but I'll try.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that it's weird that he was just brought down so hard by Cross in what seemed like a very one-sided match. And destroyed the legend killer, Randy Orton. Very, very big scaling there. But no, Keith looked, I don't even want to say he looked amazing today, because he wasn't even, I wouldn't even consider him for Fighter of the Night today. He looked like Keith, but I do like the new thing of, him like leaping over people. That's shocking. Yeah, Randy did great. And also, I don't know if anybody noticed, but Keith Lee came out in something he said he was going to come out on Up Up Down Down. He said he was going to make some Broly from Dragon Ball Z gear. I don't know if any of you caught that. Very awesome that that's how he changed up his gear, because I know a lot of people were criticizing it. I think he made the biggest leap that he could. Still hasn't changed his walkout song though.
Sorry, I'm so glad that we could do that. This was like the one thing that was missing from any other pay-per-view stream that we've done, and I needed it because I've got a kitten bladder. I know a lot of people were talking about the I know I didn't think the music would be ready by now. I thought that might take like a couple extra seconds. But the beard can't be changed at this point. The shorts were weird. I didn't want to say anything really, but they were strange.
His song starts out like so glorious, like the normal thing with him talking, and then it goes into like the most generic ass song ever.
I'm hoping they can find something to match it, because like I don't want to lose that beginning part.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I'm sure that's like a separate audio track that they can throw in.
Well, more so what I mean is I hope they can find music to fit that into still.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, this is a really quick match. I was stunned that it was as quick as it was, and I was kind of disappointed that it was.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good Randy Orton match. I really like watching him wrestle. And Keith Lee is also really good. I thought that this would be the pay-per-view. I thought this would be the main event. Just because it's Randy. I thought this would be the main event before I remembered the main event.
It's weird that they've been throwing Bray into every main event. More so it feels weird that Braun is in every main event, because he is definitely not main event material. Bray is, but Braun just sucks most of the life out of it.
Braun could be. We'll save this discourse for the future.
Yeah.
I've got shit to say. So we'll go through this quickly. It was, I think this will probably take about as long as the match did. Start off with a headlock on Keith, and Keith has a waist lock on Randy. Randy is very angry with Keith. Says that he demands Keith's respect, and then starts slapping him, because that's normally what I do, and I want respect as well. Then Keith says, "Oh, your little slaps, huh?" And then just jams his chest. After demanding respect, Randy's just like arms curled in and everything. Randy then sends Keith into the post and then throws him into the announce desk. He brings him back into the ring, stomps his leg, sort of does a drop knee to Keith. I didn't know what it was. It's a headlock on him. Keith wasn't looking good. Basically, this match had 2 beats. Normally, it's like got like loser starts off and he's like, "Oh, I'm so great and amazing, and I'm gonna beat you." And then the person getting beaten up comes around, and it's like 5 minutes of that. 5 minutes of like, "Ooh, who's to say where this is going?" And then 5 minutes of the winner winning, and it's had 5 seconds of Keith getting destroyed, and then 5 seconds of Keith winning. Keith sends Randy back in. Randy manages another Draper DDT to Keith, like he did on Monday. And Randy does Randy things. Yeah, this little boom, boom, pounding on the mat.
Slapping his little fists.
Or I worry about his little shoulders. I feel like we are long overdue for Randy dislocating one of them at this point. Randall does his thing. And then once again, I am blue-balled by WWE. We get an attempt at an RKO. Randy fails it once again, as if his initials aren't even RKO. And then Randy is spirit bombed by Keith, who wins instantly. I'm happy for him, no doubt. I love Keith Lee. However, if you're gonna give me a Keith Lee Randy Orton match, you're gonna give me Keith Lee, this big ass man,
former NXT champion,
who did so amazingly in NXT. You're gonna give me Randall fucking Orton, and you're gonna make the match 5 seconds?
This match was. It had a lot of hype behind it, considering it was Keith Lee's debut. I mean, nobody performed horribly. It was just like not a really well done match, not a well written match.
RKO at least.
Yeah.
One.
And like, at what point does Drew come in now? Where do they take Randy's story? You know?
I'll tell you at what point Drew comes in, okay? By the way, Drew McIntyre doesn't have a skull fracture, in case you're wondering or you were worried, because I know I was. No, he has a hairline jaw fracture. Which means that career-ending life or death injury that he may have had on Monday is just a little fracture down here. Probably hurts. Who cares? He can still fight. He's a man.
He just won't be able to talk.
Happy for the best. Happy for the best. Love Drew McIntyre. I really do. My dude eats the microphone. He does not stop talking. Maybe this is how they get him to stop doing 15-minute promos. It's always fun too. He's got a new opponent, because then he like reads them for filth, and they're just sitting there like, shit. Then after the 14th time that he does it, you're like, I've been here for 84 years, Drew. Please. But with that said, I think what's going to end up happening is this was such a short match, this feud will continue for however many more weeks. Gives Drew a perfect opening, because Keith is doing this at the behest of Drew. His whole motivation was like, hey, you hurt my pal, my buddy, who I'm inevitably, if he doesn't lose the title to you, going to have to fight for the title. But I don't know, man. He'll come in soon. This feud won't stop just after 2 matches. It's WWE. It'll take at least a year before this is over. Or maybe 6 months. Moving on. We then have Paul Heyman backstage being mean to Kayla, because Kayla says, hey, by the way, no one actually knows if Roman signed the contract, did he? Paul says he will. I'm like, The deadline's in like 5 seconds. Like, what are you doing? Even I even procrastinate things that much. This moves us into Dominic and Ray versus Seth and Murphy. I do want to make a quick shout out to Milam. I saw your tweet. The moment Dominic walked out without a hood on, I was like, hey, Mark, Dom doesn't have a hood on his uniform anymore. And Mark was like, oh, good. Now I can actually enjoy what he's wearing. I'm so glad it's gone.
And predictions.
Oh, yeah. I don't have to drink. I'm still going to drink, but we don't have to drink because Dominic and Ray won, and we predicted they would. Doesn't matter. We had to see Ray fight Seth tomorrow night anyway, so. Whatever.
Real quick, Milam asked if Keith and Drew were established as friends prior at any point prior to last Monday, and that it came out of nowhere.
So, yeah.
Drew...
I was going to say that they...
real quick, Drew has said he wants to challenge Keith Lee, or he's talked about Keith Lee a lot behind the scenes, I guess, in interviews and talk shows and stuff. But what were we gonna say?
I was gonna say that I believe there was a video. I don't know when this came out. There was a video that came out semi-recently of the two of them like training together, which may have been our lead up into this. I think the thing is that we're supposed to assume that they're both baby faces, and therefore they should be aligned with each other. Also, I don't know. That said, I think we were just supposed to be like, oh yeah, it makes sense that they're together because pals. It would be weird because I feel like if one of them didn't like each other going into this, then that would technically make one of them kind of heelish. Be like, no, I hate this guy who's done nothing but good.
Yeah.
I think it's going to inevitably be like a Keith Lee, Dom Dijakovic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, if it does come to them challenging one another for a title, then I think okay over there.
Yeah.
Looks like you saw a bug. But I think if it does come down to that, they'll just be like, I respect you so goddamn much, but I need to look out for me. Yeah. Anyways, Mike Rome was announcing this. Mike Rome. Mark doesn't appreciate me because I'm taking up too much time.
We're almost 2 hours in.
Stop! I'm the one that has to wake up early tomorrow. You don't. I'm my own worst enemy. The enemy is the inner me.
He just keeps delaying it even longer.
This is the last bit of like fun I'm gonna have for like 5 days.
Milam said the real fight is Liz versus Liz.
When I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm like, I'm so tired. I got 5 hours of sleep. We all know who to blame. It's me.
Liz both heel and face.
Yeah. That's about the story of my life. So Seth starts us off just being a jackass. He's making fun of Ray before like the bell's even rung. To start off, Ray's like, I'm going in first, son. I'm going to fight Murphy. And Dominic says, yeah, Dad. And then the bell rings and Dominic says, fuck you, Dad, and just runs right in. Dominic attacks Seth. Buddy throws him back into the ring. Dominic 619s him on the apron. It was kind of more of like a sliding 619, if anything. Buddy is out of the ring, and Seth slaps him. Seth just says, hey! Like, okay. Like, I'm never worried about their team falling apart, because I just know that, like, can't. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic goes off the top rope into an arm drag. That was really cool. Really jumped off the top rope and just kind of like somehow managed to get into an arm drag at the end, sending Seth out of the ring. Seth is still very mad at Buddy, and he's yelling at him. And then my favorite thing in the world, drop kick to Murphy. Because, like I said that one time, it's like the drop kick Murphys. Get it? It's an Irish punk band. Yeah. He's not Irish. He's just a redhead.
So after this fight, we had
No, I'm good. I'm good. Just having fun. We get a backbreaker to Murphy, and then a drop kick from Ray to Murphy, and Murphy's dead. Seth is standing outside the ring, and Ray utters my favorite lineup tonight, and possibly of nearly any night since Extreme Rules. Dolph yelling at Drew, "Why won't you die?" Ray shouts, "ASA, get your punk ass in here."
Oh
I
my
had to
god.
sit back for a whole goddamn second. Get your punk ass in here. I went into the void. I went into the nether there. So Seth is then attacking Ray because he gets his punk ass in there. Ray's in the corner getting punched. And then Ray plants Seth in the canvas. Seth does a gutbuster to Ray. Buddy is tagged in, and Ray just knocks him off the apron. Seth sends Ray out right into Murphy, and Murphy and Seth are once again best pals. It's all good. Murphy held up his end of the bargain, doing a good job again. Best friends for life. Or Messiah and disciple for life. And there's a shoulder to the midsection in the corner to Ray from Seth. Buddy is back in and does the same thing to Ray. Buddy's just kind of talking to Seth while Ray's like dying on the apron. He's kind of crouched over him, just like kind of like looking at Seth like, yeah, cool, we good, vibes. Ray then does a facebuster to Murphy, dodges Seth. Dom gets in and is caught by Seth and Murphy. Seth does a Falcon Arrow straight to Dom. Buddy in. And there's a kick to the gut of Dominic from Buddy. Belly to belly suplex from Murphy to Dominic. And Murphy does an ab stretch to Dom, which kind of like looked nice. Honestly, I think I would have enjoyed that personally. My old crippled muscles. Seth tags in while Murphy has Dominic in a chokehold. Seth slams him into the canvas. Murphy is against Dominic, and somehow... So Dominic's out of the ring at this point. Murphy is fighting him. And Seth is, for whatever reason, I didn't catch this. The ref is trying to stop him from going after Dominic. I didn't understand. Seth dives after Dominic. Dominic dodges him, sending Seth face first into the barricade. Ray gets in, drop kicks Seth's knees, and sends him straight into the ropes. Ray tries to 619 Seth, but Seth dodges it. He tries to roll Ray up, and he rolls straight through. Covers. Murphy breaks it. DDT from Dominic to Murphy, where Murphy basically lands on his head. A little stressful, but kind of a clean move. Cool thing.
In my opinion, the best DDTs are when they land on their head and they kind of do like the cartoonish fall backwards. I love it. Johnny always does that with whoever he's wrestling, and it's amazing.
I was worried that they're gonna like die.
I think it's better because normally they have their arm kind of sliding down as they're slamming them on their head, so kind of like the arm hits and softens the blow for the head.
But like with Dominic especially, I worry because Dominic's still fresh.
Mm-hmm.
That when stuff like that happens, I'm like, it's not like Ray doing that to Murphy, where Ray's been here for ages.
Mm-hmm.
It's a child.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but I know.
Don't kill him.
I know we like to shit on how inexperienced Dom is and how new to the roster he is, but we don't know how much training he's gotten before going into this, especially with Ray being his father. He might have given him a lot of extra training outside of the WWE, especially during rehearsals and stuff. And honestly, if there's anyone I'd trust teaching Dominic, it'd be Ray.
Got something to talk about. Not right now.
Okay.
That's fair. This I was not meant to find what I found. So that happens. Seth is in. We get a nice little sling blade. I miss the sling blade. We haven't seen her in a minute. Ray gets in and does a sitting senton, I think is what it was called. It's something Ray does almost every night. I don't know how we don't know what it is. But we have assumed, together we assumed, this was Mark's translation from Tom Phillips, who was talking way too fast. I believe it was the sitting senton. I think that's what it's called.
It was either sitting senton or seated senton.
Okay. Fair enough. So while this is happening, Murphy is taking on Dominic outside of the ring. You can just see, just barely off camera. Ray jumps out of the ring onto Murphy to stop him beating up Dom. He gets back in for Seth. Tries to do a crossbody, but is intercepted by Seth with double knees to the ribs. Seth then kicks Ray in the face and covers. Ray kicks out. Ray dodges the stomp, but Seth still manages a facebuster. Dominic breaks the cover, and Murphy interferes. Then the two fellows are attacking Dom together. Pals.
Splucha said seated senton.
Seated. Okay. That makes sense. One or the other. It's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the regular senton, but it's Ray. I'll take.
I like the seated. Seated senton's cool.
I feel like the seated just like my brain has trouble like figuring out what's happening in the moment. Whereas like a Dexter Lumis senton, I'm just like, yeah, he flew through the air and hurt the other man. So then Seth throws Ray into the barricade, and Seth is like, hey, Murph, let's do this cool move that we can do together, because we're pals, and that's what pals do together. Tags Murphy in. Murphy is legal. I think the plan was basically to both kick Ray at the same time. Or rather, I think Seth's plan was like to throw Ray to Murphy. Murphy was supposed to kick him. One way or the other. Murphy kicks Seth straight in the fucking face. Straight in the jaw. The sound it made it sound like it connected like hell.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, no! Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. Bad. Once more, Seth and Murphy are not friends. Hurts so bad. Head scissors into the rope to Murphy from Ray, and then a 619 from Dominic to Murphy. Murphy gets up on the rope, and not Murphy's on the rope. Murphy's not on the rope. Dominic's on the rope. Murphy's on the ground. Murphy's dead. But Dominic gets a frog splash onto Murphy, and that gives the Mysterios the win. And then we're left with the haunting image of Seth and Murphy at the bottom of the ramp near the ring. Murphy just like looking up at Seth, all like, "I am so sorry," and Seth walks away from him. It's so bad.
A lot of contention going on today. At least
I'm not worried about that.
At least we know Austin Theory can't join back. He's on NXT now.
Bless us all, Lord. Bless us all. He was in Raw for 5 seconds, and then Triple H said, "No, I'll take the creep back."
Yeah.
A whole team of creeps back here.
Because Triple H can easily forgive any kind of allegations anybody can have. Sweep anything
Triple H
under
is
the
like,
rug.
I am literally never on Twitter. What are they saying about him? Should we just jump into this last nightmare?
Yeah.
Just get it over with. Just rip this Band-Aid off.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I think we should run through it fast so we can really talk about our best of the night.
There's literally no reason to not run through it fast, considering this was a 5-second match.
Okay.
And the person that took the most damage was Charles Robinson. So,
oh, poor Charles. Everyone's
Charles looked Paul guyed himself out of the goddamn ring.
Everyone's on Twitter like, is Charles Robinson... I even saw Bronson Reed tweeted, is Charles Robinson okay? Like, for real?
He's been there so long. This is an important time, though, for me to mention. So we were talking about this. I didn't know about the Paul Heyman AJ Styles beef. But currently, right now, they are on the same brand. They're both on SmackDown. And in theory, last we saw, Roman was on SmackDown, so Paul Heyman coming back kind of makes it feel like he's also on SmackDown. So, interestingly enough, and maybe this is just how things are going. I don't know how to explain this. Basically, so you mentioned earlier today, there's speculation that AJ Styles might be going to Raw, or Paul Heyman and Roman might be going to Raw because of that dissent.
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns. I opened up my Twitter just to kind of check out some news. Roman Reigns has a new profile picture. It is back holding the Universal Championship title. Didn't take him very long. It's red.
He's had that before he even came back.
Yeah, I understand. However, it takes 5 seconds to take a picture, post it on Twitter.
Well,
your profile picture?
That they'd have to, because that's like a photo shoot picture. They probably do photo shoots after like the match is over. Their championship pictures.
Right. However, things move fast in WWE. They plan things out a while in advance. It makes me feel like a little, maybe I'm crazy, but it makes me feel a little speculative that, again, it's so easy to change a profile picture. It's so quick to take a picture. And if you're already in the Thunderdome where you could have a photographer, I just feel like it's interesting that, like, this picture is with the Raw belt.
I'm going to hold off on speculating on that just because he has had it since before he even came back.
I'm just saying. Just saying that if he does end up going to Raw, I'm going to say I told you so multiple times.
Okay.
I'm going to feel like I was right.
Okay.
So yeah, let's run through this fast. Neither of us have to take a drink because we both chose Roman, because if we hadn't chosen Roman, I don't know what we could have possibly been smoking. It felt weird. However, after this match tonight, I kind of wish I hadn't chosen Roman, and I kind of wish they hadn't chosen Roman. So Fiend comes out because he's the only one with like a genuinely good walkout, and Braun immediately tackles him.
Before his intro's over.
And because we're in the dark, it makes it so much funnier because it's like all of a sudden you hear his Fiend and suddenly he's just gone. And the bell rings and it's just Braun and Bray. And if anybody follows me on Twitter, I know Milam and Mike do. I know Milam liked the tweet. I said, "Where the fuck is Roman?" multiple times. Where the fuck? The announcers don't even mention it for like a minute, so I was like, did something go horribly wrong all of a sudden? So we get a Sister Abigail to Braun. Fiend slams Braun into a table and collapses entirely like it's a folding table, but like much different. And Alexa Bliss is backstage with 2 dreads in her pigtails now. Just, oh my god, Fiend. Anyways, so Fiend then has his mallet. Corey and Michael are like, "Oh my god, what's that?" And I was like, I just watched Clash of Champions pay-per-view from
last year.
Yeah, last year. Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Sorry.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be another one this year.
I got confused with Payback and the last time it happened. They're like, "What is that?" And I was like, on Clash of Champions, less than 12 months ago, you didn't seem to be confused as to what it was. Sure. Um, Strowman then throws a chair at the Fiend. You don't see him throw it. You just see the chair hit the Fiend. Kind of funny. Kind of humorous. This knocks him down. Braun goes to use the mallet, but Fiend stops him. Does his little neck breaker thing. I guess Braun's got a very strong neck. Fiend then hits Braun in the elbow with the stairs. I didn't like that at all. It was almost as bad as the mandible claw. Because it looked like it hit him right in the funny bone, and I was like, I've just hit my funny bone on like the edges of like doorways and stuff. The idea of metal stairs hitting it, I feel like I just cut my arm off at that point. I just hope it would like pop off like a Ken doll. But then he breaks Braun's neck again. Braun sends the Fiend into the big screen at the top of the ramp. He goes for the Sister Abigail. Roman Reigns is still not there. Braun gets free, sends him off the ramp into something. I'm not sure. With like 3 folding tables with a tablecloth over it.
Yeah.
But who's to say? Braun gets Bray back into the ring. Braun goes up to the top of the ropes, and I said, what is he doing up there? That's Braun Strowman. He can't. That's not where he belongs at all. He's a little top-heavy because he's a very tall man. He's way too slow because he's been Sister Abigail'd and neck broken multiple times. And the Fiend grabs him, suplexes him, and just quintessential WWE moment. The ring just explodes. Charles Robinson looks like a character from Fall Guys and like yeets himself out of the ring like a worm. There's a reverse worm out of the ring over the ropes. Poor Charles. I love Charles Robinson. So now the ring collapsed. Oh.
Just one quick thing. Milam just said, and it was said early on, but I forget who said it, that it was kind of like, if you look at the details of the ring, you could see that it was very clearly gonna fall.
Yeah.
Because they had the regular ring posts, and they didn't have any LEDs around the ring at all.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I think, because the thing is, like, when that happens, I'm just like, I've seen this, like, so many times in all of, like, their highlight WWE reels, and I'm like, alright. I get it. Big guy fell into a ring, it exploded. Doesn't that say something more about your architecture of your rings, guys? Anyways. So, Braun is dead. Bray, who also went down with a suplex, is dead. Roman comes out. Now, I was really excited last weekend. I was really excited when Roman came out. I screamed. Like, the thing that everyone always hated about Roman, if I'm not mistaken, the thing that I always felt was cringy about him was that it's like, Roman comes in and does very little and wins. It always felt like he was a face without doing any of the work. And Roman, who promised multiple times that he was going to come to Payback, wreck everyone, and leave, came in after everyone was wrecked and just tried to pin them while they were laying down. He signs the contract at the top of the ramp, walks down with a chair, and then says, "I don't need this chair." So he tries to pin Fiend. Fiend kicks multiple times. Tries to pin Braun. Braun kicks. Slaps Braun around with a chair several times. Braun still kicks out.
Yeah, you got it right.
And still kicks out. Fiend attacks Roman with the mandible claw, which Roman does he low blows Bray or Fiend. And then he spears Braun and wins the title back. No John Cena. No actual fighting on Roman's part. And I think something that we're gonna see a little more is this. Because I'm kind of wondering if maybe there's a part of Roman's contract that's like, I'm coming back for the sake of like coming back. But I did still have leukemia, and I do still want to avoid having to touch people that I don't live with, because, there is still a pandemic. So I'm kind of wondering if that plays into it. Especially because, like, the whole contract signing wasn't like everyone sitting at a table. It was Adam Pierce going to everyone's individual spots and getting them to sign. So I'm wondering if maybe that has something to do with it, but I don't know. It just was like a shitty goddamn main event. I was really disappointed by this. I was hoping that there was going to be something after, like, as he was walking to the top of the ramp, I was hoping there was going to be something
John
worth
Cena.
my energy. Yeah. I really thought it'd be John Cena. I don't know why I thought it'd be John Cena, by the way.
Because
I was really hyped up on it.
What I expected was, at one point, John Cena comes out. Well, for example, the ring breaks, because the ring is the gateway to the Firefly Funhouse. Ring breaks. Suddenly, you hear do 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 do, and then
I need to make it. Go on.
And then John Cena comes out. Everyone thinks, "Whoa, the face is here. He's gonna save the day." But it turns out he just takes down Roman and gives the Fiend the belt because he's still part of the Firefly Funhouse, still under control of the Fiend.
I say two things.
Yeah.
One, I'm saving for comedic effect, but I do want to also point out the fact that I think one of the reasons why Braun has been such a vampire, like an emotional vampire for, like, these events, because when he's angry, Braun, it's like, this isn't very fun. Like, I'm not having any fun. Like, obviously I hate the Fiend. He's the heel. Makes sense. Like, I liked Braun for a while, and, like, we had an opportunity for him and Alexa Bliss to be pals again, which would have totally sold me. Now it's just like, you're just mad at everyone and everything.
And he's not even, like, an amazing wrestler. Like, he just throws his body around and, like, punches and occasionally does a choke slam.
We've had good Braun fights.
Yeah.
We've had good Braun fights before, so I don't know why we can't get them now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he's main eventing, like, every goddamn pay-per-view. However, now is as good a time as any for me to say, one, if John Cena does come back, out of goddamn nowhere, I hear that music, I'm gonna have a panic attack. I'm gonna lose it. Our neighbors will finally, like, be mad at us after I've yelled at every baseball game, every wrestling match. This will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. They will, like, bang through the wall because I always scream my head off. I don't even like John Cena that much. I hate John Cena's fighting style. I hate him in the ring. That music, if it comes back, I'm gonna lose it. Second of all, Alexa Bliss is having whatever transformation she's having with her dreadlocks. John Cena's been gone for, like, a hot minute. I want John Cena to come back, and as much as I hate white folk with dreadlocks, I want John Cena to come back. I want him to have dreads, for the love of God.
No.
It would be the funniest thing. Like, I know for a fact, if the dreadlocks on Alexa Bliss's hair are real, which I don't think they are, because I think it takes longer than that. If they're real, and if Bray Wyatt is entirely white, I guarantee you, those bitches stank. They gotta stank.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, as much as I can't stand it, as much as I think people with white folk with dreadlocks should stop, I would pay money for that to happen to John Cena. Because he's been in the swamp, he's been in the funhouse for far too long. He's gotta come back with something.
Milam asked, "Are you saying Cena is Sister Abigail?"
Yes.
But with all that said, before we waste too much time going on about this finish, shall we?
Did you want to finish the podcast?
Huh?
Did you want to finish the podcast?
Oh, I mean, I'd like to at some point tonight.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah, we can finish it. If that's your vibe tonight. Yeah, sure.
Do you want to tally up the predictions?
I don't need to tally a goddamn thing up, Mark. Do you want to take a drink?
We could tally it up.
Oh, I guess.
For the crowd.
Let's get us All right, I did just open up Twitch, so this might take me a second. I'm probably going to lag. All right. So can you keep count while I go through?
Sure.
I don't have anything to write on. All right, so Iconics versus Riot Squad. I was right. You were wrong. Still scrolling. Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Crews. I was right. You were wrong. I am getting off on this. Big E versus Sheamus. I was right. You were wrong. King Corbin versus the Riddler. I was right and you were wrong. And then we had a twist of fate. Nia and Shayna versus Bayley and Sasha. Hate to reference Jeff Hardy in this moment, sorry. You were both right. Keith Lee versus Randall Orton. We were both wrong. Dominic and Ray versus Seth and Murphy. We were both right. And then Braun versus Bray versus Roman. We were both right. What does that bring us to?
So you have 7 correct predictions out of how many fights were there? There were 8 fights and you had 7 correct. Wow, you pulled a me at SummerSlam. And I had 3. Wah wah.
The thing is, I went with my gut, or went with my heart, I guess, on SummerSlam. I had to come through for this one and actually make the correct predictions based on how I've learned WWE rates every stupid thing. Anyways, now I'm going to open up the chat, so if anyone's saying anything mean about me, please stop.
Fun. So that's how much I can play before getting a copyright strike for YouTube.
You know what? I forgot that I made this happen during SummerSlam. I was very drunk by then. There is nothing like winning something and hearing that. That is top tier.
So I will finish
I
my
don't know
drink.
what I'll be listening to on my hour-and-a-half drive tomorrow.
All right.
I always hate going into the Twitch chat like after being in this and my notes for so long, because I know like you're saying like, oh, Milam said this, Lucha said this, DG Game said this. If nothing has happened yet, it's just like empty chat. I'm like, were you lying to me this whole time?
Yeah, we've had nobody in the chat this entire time.
I mean, I don't understand. It's Sunday.
But anyway, shall we get into the best of the night?
Oh my god, I've had so much fun not having to fucking adjust this goddamn sign.
We're all the voices inside of my head. They count to me. They understand.
It counted to me.
Okay.
Mark told me that that's what he thought it sounded, and I was like, I hope it is.
Yeah, instead of counsel
Brandy
me,
doesn't want to count.
I thought it was they count to me. But okay. Promo of the night. So we had a series of interviews with Paul Heyman where he danced around answering the question of whether or not Roman Reigns signed the contract or not. Then we had a promo with Keith Lee being approached by JBL in the locker room. True Nightmare. An interview with Matt Riddle where we reveal some of the beef King Corbin has. And then we had the promo with Shayna and Nia that I was not in the room for. Then we had a promo with Matt Riddle again where he's attacked by Corbin. And then we had a little walk-on with the Hurt Business that I think Liz skipped over. It was watching them walk through the hallways for 5 seconds with Bobby's new title.
Oh yes, okay, sorry. I did forget that.
So I'm just gonna go with the series of interviews with Paul Heyman. and him being just a glorious bastard.
Before I jump into finding what mine is going to be, I'll just give you this Vince McMahon Googling tweet. This was literally me the entire first, 5 minutes of this match. Paul Heyman.
Matt
Riddle.
Shayna and Nia.
Matt Riddle. No, I'm not going with you. I'm sorry. I don't want to have discourse on the promo. I'm going with Matt Riddle smiling so much, and then the moment that Corbin's comment was mentioned during the promo, it's just gone and he walks off. Sorry. Then that's coupled with the promo where he gets attacked backstage. I'm hoping that this leads us to at least one Corbin win at some point in the future. He's not wrong.
So, I guess we have to turn to the chat now for promo of the night.
We're doing this in honor of Renee, and you know that they're going to keep saying Big E.
No, we're going to go to the chat because I still stand by Paul Heyman. Do you guys think...
Mylum said the E in Big E stands for erasure.
Mylum,
no. I chose him.
What do you guys think should win promo of the night? Paul Heyman in his series of interviews where he dances around the question, or Matt Riddle being interviewed and then being attacked by King Corbin? Out of those two, the fake as cell referee, Mylum says Heyman. Out of those options, OMG Neutron says Heyman. So that's 2 votes siding with me. I definitely agree by the fake ass cell referee.
With a beautiful entrance into the chat, GoKey666.
Thank you, Splucha. The options are Paul Heyman's series of interviews or Matt Riddle being interviewed and then attacked. Thank you, OMG Neutron, for following.
The end of the show is about someone taking a dump in the middle of an elevator around a bunch of people then walking out. That is absolutely true. Thank you.
So Gok is going with Matt Schittle. So we still have 2 votes for Heyman, 1 vote for Matt Schittle. Unless there's no more last second votes, the winner will be Paul Heyman for promo of the night. So as I'm typing this
you
in,
get 2 votes. Sorry. Wow. I'm always so nice to everyone. You're siding with the heel guys. Thanks.
All right. So
glad I opened the chat in this moment.
All right. So our fighter of the night. So we started off with.
Can I just say, my glasses. I haven't got new glasses in 5 years. They're bad when I'm sitting back this far from my laptop, which is maybe 2 feet from my face. I still have to zoom into the comments at 150%. That's so sad.
Wow.
Go back to my eye doctor and she's going to be like, oh my God, you're blind now. Fighter of the night.
Fighter of the night. First match between Ruby and Liv versus Iconics. Out of this fight, I enjoyed Liv Morgan the most. She's always very lively with her fighting. And Peyton and Billy are very miss for me, although Peyton has a killer finisher. Liv is always the one that really comes alive in these fights. And she's so energetic and gives off so much personality, especially today when she had that whole conflict with Ruby. And then we move into Bobby versus Apollo. And I gotta give this one to Bobby. He looked awesome. He looked unstoppable. This was a Bobby that was an absolute monster in the ring. Makes me really wish we had like a full blown Bobby versus Drew match that didn't just be interrupted by Lana.
Like for full Nelsons, like Bobby does so much more than that.
Yeah.
Why was it all full Nelsons or full Lashleys? Whatever. Who fucking cares? I'm mad.
And we actually saw today like a Bobby who was desperate to get off of full Nelson, that he dragged Apollo to the ground and full Nelsoned him there.
I also just agree real quick with DG Games 23. Billy's been good at like bullying.
Yeah.
Billy hasn't been doing anything that amazing. Peyton's been stellar.
Yeah.
But like the showmanship is there, and Billy is just the heel.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both heels, but like
Billy cuts a hell of a promo. So does Peyton, but Peyton has the better fighting style in the ring. But with that said, like I said, Bobby Lashley is my pick for that fight. And then we move into Sheamus versus Big E. Big E's my pick for this fight. It's hard for me to find a moment where I pick Big E over anybody else in terms of fighter of the night. He's definitely not my pick tonight. But not to say he was bad today. I very much enjoyed him. Just how much energy and life he has. I talk about this every single time I talk about him. But just like
he does deserve a title shot.
Huh?
He does deserve a title shot.
Oh yeah.
6-6
absolutely. And I'm sure the week he does have a title match, goes after the Intercontinental title, he will get fight or fighter of the night or both, because he just needs that really well booked match. Not to say this match was poorly booked. It was an amazing match and was really fun to see. But I think there's just something missing. There's a little piece that's not there. And then after that we had Corbin versus Matt Riddle. And I gotta go with Matt Riddle for this. Yeah, Corbin I always love watching, but lately he's just been getting his ass beat. That's been his whole MO. And Matt Riddle is always a great fighter. He always performs really well in the ring, and he's always super fun to watch, mostly because we love his fighting style and how it's very technical, but also a mix with martial arts and MMA. I think he rarely is disappointing to watch. I want Corbin to get the match that he deserves. So after that we move into Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Shayna. And Shayna killed it today. Shayna was awesome. Not only did she get that amazing finisher, which is one of the best finishers I've ever seen, literally using one of your opponents to choke out the other opponent. It was beautiful. And who knew that when who knew that when Shayna was brought up from NXT that she would be doing something like this at a pay-per-view? Oh my god, she was awesome. And even before that, she rocked it in the match. She had that personality. She's being kind of a heel while also being like a respectful person. Very much kind of like a King Corbin-esque character that's a little more brutal. Very much taking notes from Ronda Rousey. Shayna really came alive today, more so than normal. And I love how she was in this match, and I really hope that she keeps this momentum going and we see this side of her on and on and on. Even tomorrow, I want to see it. So yeah, Shayna's my pick for this fight. And then after that we had Keith Lee versus Randy Orton. I guess I gotta go with Keith. I mean, it was a very short match. Randy was not looking at the top of his game. This match was not very well booked. It had moments. I think Keith Lee was the better looking in this fight. But it wasn't a pay-per-view fight. I really don't think it was. Um, yeah, much respect to Randy for putting over Keith Lee so cleanly. Yeah, definitely. So after that, we had Seth and Murphy versus Ray and Dom. And, I gotta go with Dominic Mysterio here. Ever since SummerSlam, he has been killing it. He is so good in the ring, so shockingly. He just needs to work on his charisma and his mic skills. I think he's still...
He's got John Johnson vibes.
Yeah. He definitely needs to kind of build a personality, because right now his personality is being Ray's son, which won't fly for much longer. But I disagree with you, Gok. I like Dominic doing this high-flying stuff. I think he's about as tall as Lindsay and Grand Metalik. So his height, I don't think, is a factor here. I still very much enjoy watching him. He performs amazingly. He performs better than all of Lucha House Party, especially recently. Because all of Lucha House Party has been botching everything. What?
On the height note, so Dominic is billed at 6'2".
Okay.
Carlos is billed at 6'1". I'm gonna call at least one singular lie on that one. That seems fake.
You can never trust those build heights, so...
I'd say he's 5'7", apparently.
I just want to stand, next to one wrestler, compare my height to them.
We could literally figure out every other wrestler's height. There's so many lies about height. I don't know what is real anymore.
Oh, yeah.
If I find out that Drew McIntyre's 6'1", I'm gonna have a problem. In my head, he is 6'6" at the very least, even though I'm pretty sure he's billed at 6'5". I don't know that off the top, but I do.
But yeah, Drew's definitely or not Drew. Wow, now you got me doing it. Dom is my pick for this fight. He looks so good, especially with that DDT he had. That looked so cool. Ray was a close second, but I think Dom had the better moments in this fight. What is going on? What are you doing?
I'm trying. Can you see the cat?
Oh, barely.
Can you see what?
Yes.
Okay. I can't pick her up. If I pick her up, she's gonna fight me. So I don't really want to do that tonight.
And then after that fight, we had Fiend versus Braun versus Roman, and I mean, I guess I got to give it to Fiend. Braun he's a truck, not a fighter. Fiend is probably the closest one to a fighter, and the fact that he did a superplex on Strowman is good in and of itself. But there wasn't much here to really crown a fighter of the night based on this fight alone. Oh, so cute. So cute.
Babyface of the podcast.
Heel.
Apparently. She's a heel. She doesn't even poop in her litter box. She just poops outside of it.
But
yeah, you're a jerk.
But yeah, my pick for fighter of the night tonight is Shayna Baszler.
Sorry, I saw Milam's comment about cat with a run-in on Liz versus Liz.
This podcast is going to go on for 4 hours because Liz just can't focus.
I'm wasting time because I'm agreeing with you. I thought Shayna Baszler did amazingly tonight, and I was impressed as hell. We did not get the one thing I wanted, but what we did get was Shayna using her best skills, which is submission, not only on two different people in two different ways, also using her one opponent against her other opponent. It was amazing. I was in love with it. I loved it so much. I had so much fun. I'm so sorry Big E is... Maybe next week, guys. Maybe next week. There's always next week.
There's always Friday. But yeah, although we didn't get to see one gimmick, we got to see another one born.
I think that this is going to be a good thing for Shayna. I think that we're finally going to get to see her because she came back. It wasn't the most impressive comeback. I think we're finally getting to see Shayna do like something good. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Gok, don't blame Nia Jax's lack of fighting on the fact that she's fat, because you have Otis, who is fat trademark, and I guess Bronson Reed too, who are great wrestlers. We're seeing more of Bronson Reed as a better wrestler, and Otis is fantastic. So blame it more on the lazy and emotionless part. Yeah, we saw.
Please don't use me as a stepping off point.
We saw a little bit more from her today. She just needs to build her personality, her emotions, which sucks because she's been in the game for much longer. But yeah, weight has nothing to do with it. It's just her personality. So that's Fighter of the Night, Shayna Baszler. Yes.
I was going to say that Nia Jax is definitely awkward and does not know how to do anything, and she does botch a lot of moves, and that is a very fair point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's something that's always bothered me about her, and I never actually was able to put a finger on it, is that she's very awkward and doesn't seem comfortable in front of a camera doing anything besides just kind of like sneering.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's why like watching her tonight was so exciting, because it's like you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a heel, you can still have fun, and she hasn't been for so long, and tonight we finally saw her like enjoying herself, and I was like, this is what I wanted.
I think
she botches so many moves. She's a danger.
I think and I think that's the effect that Shayna's been having on her, because from what I've seen, Shayna outside of kayfabe is like a very fun person. She's very nice from what I've seen with her on Up Up Down Down, her appearances on her housemates' streams, her friends' streams. She seems like a very fun person who has been in the wrestling and fighting game for a while and learned from someone like Ronda Rousey how to be like a good personality, but also fight with energy. And this team up has kind of, at least from what we've seen today, had really good results on how Nia fights.
We don't want to detract further, just so that we can get through this. But Goke666 made a good point that I didn't think about. While Nia Jax and Shayna would be a really cool tag team, I also do not want to see Shayna, or at this point, after tonight, Nia, I don't want to see them fall into the tag team category, really. Because Shayna's such an impressive wrestler on her own. I think Nia has the ability to be an amazing wrestler on her own. That I feel like a wrestler's credibility is almost killed, at least, especially for women, almost killed instantly the moment they are part of a tag team.
Oh yeah, but
so I worry about that.
They've already established that Shayna's going to go after the Raw Women's title, so they are already going to do single stuff, unless they just drop it. But as far as we know, there's still single stuff planned, so hopefully there's still that. And I think there are singles, or there are tag teams that still do single stuff, like Miz and Morrison, for example. They still do stuff separately, but they kind of have their thing, like Lucha House Party recently too.
Right, and I want to make sure that like I do want to be clear. What Goku is saying is very true, and I think that's one of the reasons I didn't like her for so long, and something that still does need to be acknowledged is that she is a danger in the ring a lot of the times to a lot of people. She almost killed Kyrie. Literally almost killed her, or at least severely damaged her. I don't think that she knows how to use any of her skills properly, and that's what worries me about Dominic, especially again with the DDT tonight, is that I think they're so hell-bent on taking these people with like famous heritages or famous backgrounds or famous relatives, and being like, throw it in a ring! And then it's like, but also like doing dangerous moves. Maybe there should be like, you know, like when I was working at a grocery store way back when, I had to take lessons on how to not put chicken in people's bags with bread because that could be a danger. And that was groceries. And now you're throwing people around in a ring. Maybe there should be some like, hey, here's how to not murder someone so that we don't have to ban an entire goddamn move because you almost cracked Kairi Sane's skull open.
I do want to say one thing before we move on to Fight of the Night, and that's I want to address what you said about Dominic, as opposed to Nia. The fact that like Nia's moves are very weight focused and involve her attacking at somebody, while Dominic being a pseudo luchador since he doesn't wear a mask. His
Here, look out of here. You say that.
The luchador fighting style is very cooperative with who you're fighting with. Most that you're gonna hurt, if you botch, as we've seen with Grand Metalik, is yourself. You're gonna hurt yourself more than you hurt your opponent. And a lot of it just comes as teamwork and a lot of practice, and Rey Mysterio, being one of the best luchadors of all time, will really put him in his place when it comes to that.
I do also want to keep going. I'm sorry. But the other thing too is like, I think one thing that WWE suffers from, and I think wrestling in general, especially entertainment wrestling, suffers from, is there's not a lot of people built like Nia that look like Nia that are women, or one, wrestling, and two, in a position to show Nia Jax how to use her body. I think she suffers from that because it's like, I can't think of any other woman in the WWE that looks like her. Any other heavyweight, any other bigger person has been a man. So it's like, who's going to be the one to say, hey, Nia, I have the same experience as you have. Here's how you do X, Y, and Z. There's no one there. And I think she suffers from that too. And I think that she suffers from, again, the fact that she is related to The Rock. It helps you. It definitely does. Like, she's exactly what I worry about with Dominic, because no charisma, nothing going on there. Her moves are so-so. There's nothing special about them. Dominic's got potentially more special moves than he does, or than she does. It's like, I've got my problems with it.
So shall we move on to?
Be let out right now.
Shall we move on to Fight of the Night?
That's making a heel turn. She's standing at the door.
Before we do that, I just want to say Charlotte Flair confirms she won't miss WrestleMania 37.
All that.
Okay, so with that out of the way, Fight of the Night. I apologize for delaying so long. We are almost at 3 hours, so let me just jump right into this. Ruby and Liv versus Iconics. It's so hard for me to call them Riot Squad. It's gonna take a while.
No, Sarah.
This match was the perfect match to have in a kickoff. Wasn't anything impressive on the scale of fighting. And Ruby and Liv have such good chemistry together. Iconics have even better chemistry. Their walkout where they're wearing the matching outfits, Ruby and Liv, was a perfect way to start off. It wasn't an amazing fight. I'll just put it at that. And then Bobby versus Apollo, great fight. Really good way to transfer over the title to Bobby. But I can't help but feel that this fight was very poorly led into. We got an arm wrestling match for no reason. This fight was announced for no lead-in. I wish there was a little more story leading into this. But I'm curious where it leads out with Apollo. Whether we see a more aggressive, hostile Apollo after how he attacked Bobby.
Apollo versus Cedric.
That would be interesting. That would be. But we'll see. And then after that, we had Sheamus versus Biggie. Great fight. Really great fight. Expected Retribution to appear here, but who knows what's going on there. Biggie and Sheamus both looked great. Really great fight overall. I want to know where it leads into as far as Biggie's path. Same with Sheamus. What's his plan now? Maybe with Sami Zayn being back, Elias will now come back and reveal, this is who hit me with the car. It's going to be Sami Zayn is revealed, and then Sheamus attacks Sami and says, you had this pinned on me. And then that fight happens. Sami is also fighting with Cesaro and Shinsuke, and also Jeff Hardy, so Sami's basically fighting everybody. That's what comes out of the Sheamus Big E fight. But yeah, it was a great fight. Definitely needed a little more story in there, a little more personality to it. Not to say that neither wrestler has personality. I think as a match, it needed more personality. And then after that, we had Corbin versus Matt Riddle. Would have liked to see a little more from Corbin. Riddle looked great. Again, don't know where we're gonna go with this now. But yeah, it was definitely a good fight overall. I wouldn't say it's as good as Sheamus versus Big E, but it was still a great fight. And then we had Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Shayna for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. And this fight was awesome. This fight was amazing. You had Nia and Shayna looking fantastic. You had Bayley and Sasha not looking bad, but showing off their personality really well while also facing these unstoppable opponents. Everything about this fight was perfect. I loved it so much. And then moving into the Keith Lee Randy Orton fight, way too short, poorly booked. Randy Orton needed to win here to push the storyline. And because it doesn't make sense for Keith Lee to win just in general. So I wish this fight had gone completely differently. And then we have Seth and Murphy versus Ray and Dom. Another great fight. I think everything about this fight was awesome. Might have lasted a little too long, but I very much loved this fight. Seth and Murphy both looked great, both as characters and as wrestlers. Ray and Dom both looked awesome. Dom, like I said, just needs a little more charisma, a little more personality to take him to a really great position in the WWE. And Liz, you mentioned this earlier, how this fight, it wasn't during the podcast, but you mentioned earlier how this fight, and any fight Seth Rollins has, doesn't have the conventional beats of a normal fight. And that's something Seth brings to every fight, and it makes me think that maybe Seth has a little more sway when it comes to the choreography of fights like this. And
Ray.
Or Ray, yeah. How either of them could really write this fight themselves and have some authority and make something that flows a lot better than your average fight. But after that, we had Fiend versus Braun versus Roman. That was basically a repeat of SummerSlam's fight, just with the ring collapsing in on itself. No reason for either fights to have been falls count anywhere. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want this fight to be. I don't want this feud anymore to be main event anymore. I would like something else to take its place, but for the moment, my pick for fight of the night is Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Shayna Baszler. You agree?
I love this match. I like Seth and Ray fight, Seth Ray Dominic Murphy fight would have been it probably if it were not for the fact that we've seen this 591 times now. But I have been craving women's matches that like are new or quite literally something I don't know, be interested in. We've had so many women's fights lately, especially with tag teams and just with singles matches, except it's just Bayley versus so-and-so or Sasha versus so-and-so. We've had so much of that I've just gotten so bored because it's Bayley and Sasha versus Alexa and Nikki, Bayley and Sasha versus Asuka, Peyton or the Iconics versus Riot Squad. That's all we've had. And finally, although I don't want them to fall into like the tag team sector. I was so happy to have a women's match with a different story, first of all, entirely, that we've been used to. Story that did not just end in cattiness. Yeah. Like, betrayal on Sasha's face, first of all, was enough to get me going at the end of it. But the weird kinship between Shayna and Nia was also very exciting to me.
Yeah.
The wrestling was amazing. I did not know what direction this was going at all tonight. Like most matches where I was like, I can get a pretty good feeling as we're ending. There's a cat hair on my face. But all of that aside, we got two groups of wrestlers that are not particularly uber feminine, and as much as I like the Iconics, they're pretty uber feminine. A lot of what they do, and especially in how a lot of their moves are done, and that's not something I don't like. It's just how a lot of the wrestling has been going.
It's nice to get
Sasha
variety.
Can kind of go right, and Sasha can kind of go both ways. Obviously, Ruby Riot's not quite that, but it's so nice to see people like Shayna, who terrifies me, and Nia, who's just got nothing here. And not that sounds like I'm saying she's ugly, just emotionally.
Yeah.
Nia Jax is a very pretty woman. That shouldn't matter. It's wrestling. I'm going back and forth myself. But they're both very. It's hard for me to say, but like, just their style is so different from like a lot of like how Alexa Bliss does stuff and how Peyton Royce does stuff, and I really like seeing them not only getting to fight in a way that, like, for example, one thing I really liked was Bayley was like around Nia's like ankle, and I was just kind of dragging her along, and I was like, it's a small thing, and it's kind of a comment on how big she is, but like at the same time, it's like, this is just her showing like, I'm not so easy to beat. Like, you can't just grab me and I'm down.
Yeah, like Bayley tried to do the same thing she did with Asuka, where she got her in like a leg lock of some kind, and then Nia literally just like rolled and got up, and it was like, you can't do that to me. And this was perfect because they were like, they're not Bayley and Sasha's average opponents.
And they're not the most conventional women's wrestlers, and normally the ones who are not conventional women's wrestlers get like the stupidest storylines or just like the most like innocuous storylines. This time we got two unconventional women's wrestlers doing something, first of all, that was impressive, and second of all, that like it kind of broke their characters at the end, where it's like Nia Jax, who's just like this like stone cold bitch, and Shayna, who's Shayna, is like they're like going off, like, so excited about winning. Like, Shayna even smiled, and I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am? Are we good? It was so awesome. I really love this match for character reasons, for technical reasons. I have been dying for a good women's match.
Yeah.
So long. We almost got that with the Iconics and Riot Squad. We very nearly did if it was not a pre-show match, maybe. But, like, I wanted this so badly. And I never thought my dreams would come true, but ever since Charlotte Flair left, like, I was like, it's never going to happen. And then I got it today, and I said, Lord,
yeah,
thank you.
Nia Jax.
Bless my soul.
The saddest part for me is Nia Jax has such amazing potential. She has such potential to be a really great personality, really great wrestler, but she doesn't show any emotion on her walkout. She is constantly, like, hostile to anybody that comes in contact with her. And she lacks safety in her wrestling. I think working with Shayna will be perfect for her in terms of safety. And she just needs to be better written by the writers for her promos. But she also does need to work on her walkout.
I don't want to get into this in this moment because we've got 2 other shows coming up in the next 2 days. But is this as good a time as any to just say, hey, you got so many goddamn women on NXT right now? Like, so many women. So many women that you could
Dakota Kai
easily send to a different roster and still have other women to fill in the gaps. You got so many women on NXT.
Imagine.
And so many women not in Raw or SmackDown. Is it that hard? Is it that hard to share? Can you just share?
Real quick, imagine Dakota and Raquel being brought up to the main roster. And then, shockingly, Tegan Nox also brought up to the main roster. And you bring that feud there, and Dakota's like, why did you follow me here? And then there's more feud. Tegan's just like, I didn't mean to follow you. I was called up.
Really, it's commented on all the time with NXT that NXT has had an amazing amount of women's matches per episode. It's pretty evenly balanced as opposed to Raw or SmackDown. And again, I don't want to get into this because we do have the Tuesday NXT show, and we also have to wrap this up because I have to go to bed. But it's just, Raw could do without some of them, and you still have, as much as, like, we make fun of, like, the enhancement talent that they have, as much as we make fun of the enhancement talent on NXT, there's an easy way to take some of your top or, like, middle ground players from NXT, bring them up to Raw or SmackDown, use them up there, bring up your enhancement talent that you use for every single match it's not like Leon Ruff enhancement talent, it's Indy Hartwell and
Casey
whatever her
Catanzaro.
name is. Casey, Kaden Carter. You use these women as enhancement talent. You trademarked Casey and Caden's names. Got problems with that. That's different though. Which you also trademarked Drew Gulak's and Dexter Loomis's name, but you use them so much more. It's fine. Anyways,
we've been here for 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm wrapping this up right now. It's just you've got all of these women down here. Take a handful of them and just go, there you go. Take them and move them over here. Brands that need them. So I don't have to scream every goddamn night about how bored I am with Sasha and Bayley versus the same 2 women for 3 months.
Liz?
I'm good. Vibing.
Liz? You want to close out the show?
Close out the show.
Yep.
Hey guys, did you enjoy this podcast? Because in less than 24 hours, we'll be back here. And I'll be screaming about the same goddamn things, I am sure. But yeah, so WWE said Liz and Mark don't get a break. We will be back Monday for Raw. We'll be back Tuesday for NXT. Then you won't hear from us for 2 goddamn days, so help
3.
me God. 3 goddamn days. No, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, we're back. Don't get your hopes up. But we will be back on Monday for Monday Night Raw. And I will also not be wearing a full face of makeup for that because I'm going to be driving for 2 hours. If you want to make the rush hour commute back into the city, you let me know. It's hell. I want to die. Anyways, I'll be back. Mark will be back. We'll be talking about Raw. My favorite night of the week, by the way. And we're going to have so much fun. I'm going to be yelling. Probably for good reasons. I love Raw. Raw's my favorite brand. And Kat will still be a heel. No matter what everyone says, she is still a heel. Kat has peed on so many things. She's not a face.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit that follow button below. Hit the little bell so you're notified whenever we go live. And follow us on Twitter at the Pinfall Cast. So you'll also be notified whenever we go live. And if you miss a podcast,
one day you won't see them anymore and you'll forget.
You can see the Fighter of the Night and Fight of the Night posted for that night if you miss a podcast. Our YouTube name, thank you, Gok, for that excellent segue, is the Pinfall Podcast. Our profile picture is not the same. We still need to change it. I think Liz has the picture for it.
Definitely do. We'll be changing this picture too, so it's colored, and you will know when we are online and offline on Twitch. Still mad that I haven't fixed that.
But yes, the Pinfall Podcast on YouTube, where we will post this podcast tomorrow, and we have all of our past podcasts there, minus a couple. And follow our individual social medias too. My Twitter is at @TheMarkCameron. Liz's is at ElizaElane23. And follow my personal Twitch as well, twitch.tv/MarkCameron or markcameron.live. We are all working on an awesome combination of Pokemon and professional wrestling to make a cool Pokemon league. If you're into Pokemon, you're into wrestling, definitely check it out. It is so awesome, even if you're not into wrestling, but I don't know why you'd be here.
And you sat through this 3-hour podcast and you hate wrestling?
But yes, that's markcameron.live.
I think we have a subreddit too, right?
We do. The Universal Pokemon Fed on Reddit. r/Universal Pokemon Fed. So check that out. Check everything there out. It's so cool. And we will see you on Monday for Raw, then Tuesday for NXT.
Never sleep.
Never ever sleep. And
how am I gonna do for Tuesday? I don't know.
Clash of Champions in 4 weeks.
Oh my god! I'm never gonna sleep again!
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.